No loitering.
It's time to show how real cops kick it.
Sandy Hackett, you can have OCP. It's all yours. Sayonara.
Welcome to The Good, the Bad, and the Sequel. This is the movie podcast where we're talking sequels, and we do it in two parts. The first, an interview with an actor, someone involved that made the film worth watching, and the second, a discussion of the sequel, what they got right, what they got wrong, and how it could have been better. Really hope you enjoyed last week's interview with actress Jodi Long. She had some great stories about this week's sequel, Robocop 3, and her relationship, growing up in New York City in the theater scene with Peter Weller and being sort of disappointed when he was not on set for this movie. And she had some other amazing stories. So after this, go check it out. But man, this week's movie is a movie I thought I saw, but I don't think I ever saw. But before we talk Robocop 3, which kind of was Superman-ish at parts, yes, at the end, I got to introduce you to my partner in the sequel watching journey, Jamie Riccardi. Jamie, how you doing?
I'm doing awesome. Doug, how are you doing?
Pretty good. I've seen the first Robocop. I know I saw the first Robocop. I know it. I don't know the second one, and I thought I knew the third one, but I didn't remember all at all.
No, I definitely saw the second one. I know the first one very well. Second one, I know a little bit. I thought I saw this one. I did not. And Superman 2, Terminator 2 has a little, vibe of Terminator 2. I hated it. I hated this movie. So I'm just going to say it right. I'm going to say it right from the beginning. I hated it.
Well, my job is to win you over. I'm not going to say that I thought it was like the greatest thing ever. There was some funny. It was so, I don't know. We'll get into like why it turned out the way it was, because there's actually like a reason behind why it's so different than the first one, and I'm sure the second one. But
you mean besides having a different actor as RoboCop?
Well, we'll talk about why that happened too, because there's all these rumors that he like wanted too much money and things like that, like Gunnar Hansen and Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3, but it's not that. I have it here, so we'll get to that when that comes up. But before we talk about it, we have a special guest coming to review with us, Jerry Liu. Jerry, very excited to finally have you on.
No, this is my most favorite podcast I listen to, and I'll buy that for $1.
Yes. What a weird cameo to have that little clip in this movie. There's some really weird things in this movie. Unbelievable, right?
Jared, are you a big like RoboCop fan in general?
I grew up being very much in the zeitgeist of I was born in 84, so Schwarzenegger movies were very, very much in my cut. So action movies were wonderful. But it really took me being an adult to understand the satire that was RoboCop and the beauty that was the first two movies. But unfortunately, the third movie came out when I was right in that, I was 10, 11 years old. So, I mean, anything grabbed my attention. So this is, it's been viewed upon with different eyes, but I mean, not in a bad way.
So you did see it in the past?
Oh, yeah. Oh, God, I remember the I live in backwater Oregon in United States of America. Sorry, I mean I do another podcast and I co-host with the Canadian guy, so we have to maintain international statehood. But ultimately, we had Walmart's here where I saw the RoboCop 3, all the action figures, every single piece we're going to talk about the arm, the jetpack, the everything. I mean, yeah, it was right in my face the whole time.
I'm sorry. I feel bad for you then.
There's a RoboCop toy in this movie. They have a random RoboCop.
Oh yeah.
Out of nowhere. Made no sense. But so let's just dive right into the movie, because there's a lot to unpack. I wrote a lot more than I thought I would, because there were so many times I was just writing the word "what" over and over again. Because there's some things that I get RoboCop, I get who he is, I get everything that comes with him, but in the same sense, he does things that I don't think RoboCop did in the first two movies, because
not even close.
Okay.
And I'm also going to say that I don't think RoboCop's in the movie a lot. He doesn't
he's not.
I feel like the first two movies, he's really it's all about him. This one, he's got like 2 scenes, and one, I can't believe how fast it was.
Jamie just nailed it right there. Actually, we're cutting to like halfway down my second page of notes or whatever. But 35 minutes in, he Robocop said his 5th line.
yeah. I mean, I don't know if they're trying to hide the fact that it's not Peter Weller, or I don't know.
Oh, definitely. Oh, most definitely. Because they pulled the wool over my eyes when I was a kid. They totally did it.
Yeah. No. Yeah. You know, it just. I don't know. Again, I feel like the people in this movie were so overacting, like really bad. I mean, some of the death scenes, like when what's her face dies in a church, you know, like it was the most dramatic death ever. I'm cold. I'm afraid. I mean, like, you know, it's like, I mean, it's not even necessary. It was just. This is definitely
what's her face dies in the church. How do we unpack that?
Yeah,
we're gonna get into this stuff. I did not like this movie, Doug.
And there's some
I love
roles,
you guys. This is gonna be great.
Yeah, dude. And now there's some roles in this movie that when you see the way they played in this movie, it doesn't like work in this movie, but they play the same person in another movie, which there's like 3 or 4 people, and you're like, oh, now it works.
Well, I one of them, I didn't realize it was him until he called her on the phone. And then I'm like,
really?
Yeah. Well, you go, he's so much younger, but once from that point, because I thought he sounded familiar. He had that weaselly, you know, voice, and I'm like, all right, I know from somewhere. I couldn't pitch it. And then when I saw that video, I'm like, he's playing the exact same role as Billy Madison.
Oh, shut up, Brian. I've had to listen to your jawing for too long.
Well, technically,
Just shut up. Are you ready to hand the company over to me now?
No.
The exact same role.
I love that you actually said weaselly, like my personal friend Larry Hankins' line in the movie when he says Eric does that little weasel voice. That's great. So yeah, so let's dive into this. And there's some fun facts right in the beginning, which I never knew. You know, like as a kid, there's so many movie production companies and like studios when we were growing up, and they just fade away. But you don't know if they fade away or what happened. But the movie opens up, MGM Lion, boom, nostalgia. Then Orion, and you're like, man, Orion, that's amazing. So Orion folded in 91. This movie was done in 91. Done. And it was just getting shopped around. And MGM, who has all the money in the world then, because they were the ones that put out all the Cannon films. At this point, they picked it up. But you had movies in the can in 91, like over 2 years for it to actually make it into the theaters.
It should have been shot out of a cannon. Okay. So, I mean, and you know, I like how you say, let's dive into it, because the movie pretty much dives right into it. Like it starts off like there's no credits. It goes right into the movie.
Yeah.
I was wondering about that. I was like, about like minute 25, I would look around going like, is there the credit sequence or the theme music? Nope. Let's keep plowing ahead.
Yeah, I was concerned. I mean, you know, I used it on my Fire Stick, and I was concerned that I was watching the wrong movie at first. Like I wasn't sure what I was watching, because it goes right to Delta City, and like I'm like, what kind of movie is this? Like I totally forgot about Delta City.
Was Delta City is what they called Detroit in the other movies?
I believe so.
Because they called it Detroit too.
Oh yeah, it was an airline thing. No, it wasn't.
So then we get like this Delta City commercial, the perfect future, and it's like a little girl and like the lettering, and then like Jamie said, boom, like just like where are we? It's like an apocalyptic future. Everything's on fire. It seems everything's like crumbling, and then we get Jody Long. That's what you got. Like Jody Long with Nico, who I'm sad to say this. Okay. I thought it was a boy most of the movie.
Well, I thought of the boy also, but I'm going to say one thing about Miko. So last week, you know, last movie we reviewed was Iron Eagle 4, and I thought we met the best hacker in the world. I'm mistaken, because Miko is probably the best hacker.
It's Nico, okay? Nico with an N as in Nancy.
Oh, it's not Miko with an M?
Maybe you like the movie now because it's an N.
That's not going to change my mind. Are you sure it's I could have sworn it was Miko.
It's N. Right. It's N. Yeah.
It's with an N.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
But that could change.
I hate it even more.
This movie. Now you hate it even more because you heard it wrong.
Sorry, Janie.
But no, you're right. The things that Nico does in this movie, again, I'm not saying somebody that lives in a building like that that's getting evicted has a computer that looks like, when that computer folds up, it looks like two Sega like Game Gears folding up and like collapsing into the computer.
Oh, it was a Game Gear and a Lynx put together.
Yes.
She's also like 10 years old.
Yeah.
Right?
No, I know.
Okay. So, I mean,
Well, kind of like Hackers. Remember in Hackers? What was his name? Bobby, the young kid. He was like 10, 12 years old. And he's like hacking into ATM machines in random states and just having them spit out money.
well, I would have liked to seen a little something of why she's so good at hacking. Like something.
So you want a backstory? You really want a backstory?
Well, considering I didn't like the story that was going on, I would have preferred a backstory.
A Robocop, Robocop 2.5. A little prequel action. Why not?
See?
Nico's story from 6 years old to 10. Just that's all.
For the record, though, in that opening scene where they're, as you're about to describe, I'm sure, not to spoil anything or whatever, but their eviction notice was half burned. Like in disdain. I mean...
And I've noticed the gangs, like the bad guys, they act like zombies. Like they like there's something like they're not acting normal. Like that, they're acting like animals. Like is there was that like
tribal?
Something...
It's tribal for sure.
Oh, yeah. Definitely tribal. I mean, but like, was that how they were acting? I mean, I know they always had gang issues in all the movies. Was that how they were in other movies too? Or
I don't know.
Around Detroit at the time, maybe.
True.
So we'll talk about this scene, and then we'll kind of like talk about like what's really the plot of this movie. But the fact that it's just so funny the way it happens with us sometimes when we interview people and we hear these stories. But the fact that the John Posey, who plays Nico's dad, that's the guy that former guest casting director Fern Champion, she casted him as the original Danny Tanner in Full House. He was the original Danny Tanner for the pilot.
And what happened?
Well, he didn't work out too well. And then 4 years later, he's playing Nico's dad. But we do see a little bit that Nico is a genius. He's doing calculus homework. He has to go and
she.
Damn it. Yeah, she.
She and Nico with an N. She, Nico.
So
as you can tell, we're not the most observant.
Neither am I. I'm just making sure we're all on the same page.
Okay.
So the thing that was really confusing when we see the people outside, they showed the news. Nico's watching the news, and they're talking about wanting to get these people onto the buses and then make them so they have to take drug tests to get new jobs. Again, that doesn't really make sense because they're kicking these people out. But the line that I love was when John Posey, the father, is like,
don't listen to what the TV says. This is your home. You hear me? And you're safe here.
And just when he finishes that line, wrecking ball through the window.
Within seconds.
Yes. Chaos ensues. They like,
I'll buy that for $1.
Yes, right there. And it's funny, before I watched it, I went on IMDb, like scrolling through, and I saw that guy. And I'm like, oh, I wonder what he is in the movie. He's just that on the TV.
Yep.
Amazing. And then we get the title screen. When they're scrambling to get out of the house, we get the title screen. So the cops are like beating the crap out of people. You get like an old lady getting like, basically like the one cop cocks his gun. Just get on the bus, lady. Let's talk about it now, because later we'll get into different reasons for it. But like, Jerry, what's the plot of this movie in your eyes?
Well, considering I saw it a ton when I was 10 years old, and then as I was talking to you last night, I watched it last night. All of a sudden, there's a lot of crazy overtones in the movie, a lot of them. Yeah. But ultimately, based off of I did serve 6 years in the Coast Guard, and I was a boarding officer. And it's funny you mentioned this because, I mean, not to excuse said heavy number one in the movie, but like if you had a shotgun or whatever, you were allowed to pump it, and that was kind of like, to like state presence, so to speak. But in terms of like, how a weapon functions and like to show intimidation, well, you get the latter part of that for sure. But ultimately, it's just, just like how, like, you've seen Hot Fuzz, like every single time they're walking around the corner, the guns are cocking every time. It's like, that's the joke. Like, it's just like, oh yeah, they're reloading every 5 seconds. That was about it, really.
He's a weapons expert. You're talking to, you have a plane expert last week, and we have a weapons guy here.
Yeah, well, that's what needed.
Well, now to be fair, not to say, and I did mention this to Doug, but there comes another point very soon, about 30 minutes of the movie, where I do want to dissect the physics of how weapons work for, as you guys do very well, but not right now. Okay, that's stay for later.
When we get to it. But no, so Jamie, what do you think, like right now watching this movie, do you have any idea what the purpose of what this would be?
No, not at all. It to me, when I was watching this scene, it came across like a Nazi kind of like overtone. And like, especially when they were separating Nico from her parents. Like, yeah,
that was an accident. That was a terrible, terrible accident. Somebody bumped her, somebody else bumped her, and that's why he got let go. Like the guard had her, then he let go all of a sudden.
But it's the way they were doing it, though. It just seemed like so I don't know. Again, honestly, I'm just watching. It's like, all right, there's something like this seems to happen in every RoboCop movie.
Yeah,
they're showing you the people on the streets, they're showing you all the action, and then the reason that they need RoboCop. So I don't know. At this point, I'm still trying to think of what's going on.
Like I was thinking, the first thing, and it's talked about later, like gentrification. They want to knock all that down, put in like new mall, and I'm like, okay, that makes sense. But then there's lines in this movie that are told by like Bertha, and even Nico says it. Okay, if we can hold out for 3 more days, 2 more days, they'll let us go. Why would they let them go? What would stop these guys that are already like assaulting women, beating the crap out of people, throwing them on buses, for as soon as it hits 72 hours, like, okay, guys, you guys can have your houses back that we already have demolished. To me, that was like the weirdest part of the movie. I understand like defending your home, which I love the final scene in the movie. I love not the RoboCop part. I love the other part of it, but I don't understand why that is. They could have done the same everything, but the fact that their whole thing was defend it for 48 hours or 72 hours. But what after that? They're still going to be there. The cops aren't just going to let you go. So that made absolutely no sense.
Well, they also didn't explain, and right in the beginning, were these cops that were like, because they weren't dressed like the other cops.
Yeah.
So they didn't kind of explain what kind of range they have with the people compared to the cops that wear the blue.
Exactly. They were called OCP, which they never said what that stood for.
Well, the rehab. They
called them the rehab. They were part of like the rehab
OCP
department.
has always been, guys. OCP has always been a big thing in RoboCop. It's Omni Consumer Products.
Oh, dirt.
Oh. So we also have our RoboCop expert.
That's been like where maybe the one good dash of satire that exists in this movie is OCP is still not in charge of the police, but it's like, well, who's going to pay him? And then you got like, guys like Officer Reed just sitting there just like, yelling rhetoric or whatever. But as we'll get to later, but it is, as much as I love the first 2 RoboCops. My God, in going back and rewatching them just as an adult, the first one is such a beautiful painting of just hilarity on every degree. And the second one got a little dark. Yeah, whatever. People can't deal with it. Fuck it. Whatever. But then this one, as you probably will talk about when they talk about like switching directors, Peter Weller's not in there anymore. They were trying to up the action and not the gore to make it a PG-13 rating to get more kids like me or whatever. It was just it was very different. But I don't know.
See, I think that took away from some of the movie, but the fact that it wasn't like the first movie of the gore, because there really was pretty tame. This movie, this movie is PG-13.
Yes, or at least I'm led to believe, right? Doug.
Yeah, I would guess.
Sorry, it's your show. I apologize.
Oh, dude.
Do
No,
whatever.
Free
No,
speech,
you're
man.
right.
That's it.
No, you're right. I would say, honestly, it could be based on the way movies used to be. They used to show boobs in PG movies, so this could really be a PG movie because there really is no blood. It's more A-Team. There's one point that RoboCop's shooting, and it's just the ground, and guys are like jumping in the air, and I'm like,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah.
Why? I don't know.
That's what I mean. So because the first one's gory. I mean, the first one's pretty violent. One of the most violent movies.
So then we get CCH Pounder, who plays Bertha. Her scene's pretty cool when she gets like hit by the cop, and then she's like crawling away, and she pulls out what is like, I don't know, it was smaller than a smoke detector. She puts it onto
It's a timeline from GoldenEye 007, that Nintendo 64 game.
That's what it looked like. It did look like that.
And it freaking explodes, and you're like, holy shit, what's happening? And their whole thing's pretty crazy too. It reminded me of, time-wise, obviously this movie was finished in 91, but it reminded me of like Dennis Leary in Demolition Man, like the underground gang.
I was also thinking Running Man.
Oh yeah, Running Man. Same thing.
Same thing. Yeah.
Well, it's just 80s to 90s action. I mean, 80s action blended into the 90s. I mean, that was the cut that I grew up in. I mean, that's exactly
the Total Recall. You have the resistance going against the man.
Yeah. Yeah, and you got to stick it to the man. And that the perfect people to have on the team of the people sticking it to the man. We have a young Stephen Root, who is one of those guys. So great and so much. And we have George Costanza's boss, Mr. Kruger.
K-Uger, that sounds like one of those old-time car horns, huh? K-Uger! K-Uger!
Oh, Cougar.
Amazing, dude. He's great. I love him in this movie.
Yeah.
Everyone's great.
No, you know what? Everybody, they had a lot of like people that you've seen in so many movies in this movie. For a crappy movie, there's a lot of like, I mean, nobodies until they became,
Yeah.
Spoiler alert, Milton Wadhams is the the rat. I mean,
yeah. Yes.
The guy that robbed the store. Wasn't he on Seinfeld?
Yes, he was in Seinfeld as well. He was the guy with the parking,
the car.
the boxing fight.
Yeah, the parking. Yeah.
So then Nico, she gets saved by that gang. They pull her into the van, and then it's really like from there. Then we cut to
it's 18 Light.
18 Light, yes. And then from there, they're breaking into the police headquarters. Right, the next scene is right to there, and they're breaking in, and then we see, what was that one called? That was the one from
that one was in a second one, I think. That wasn't
you talking about Ed 209?
Yes.
Oh yeah, I own that toy growing up.
Well, I got to tell you about Nico. I feel like they accepted her into the main gang right away, like because she's basically one of the four. There's four of them. She's in there with them now, and she's doing everything. Like, there's a lot of people on the ground that are still, kind of like on the side. Nico's right in there. I mean, they're sending her on missions. Like there was no like initiation.
Wait, hold on. They're not sending her on missions. I think this is on the way home. I think this is on the way back to like their home base. Like when they run into this.
No. But later on they send her to the police station.
Well, of course. I mean, I'm just saying like right now.
Oh yeah.
Oh, hey, by the way, we're on the way home. We're gonna hit the police armory.
Yeah. It's like running into 7-Eleven or going through McDonald's drive-thru. Like, hey, we're just going to rob this place real quick. But the fact that
and she just lost her parents, and she doesn't seem that upset.
Yeah, no, that's sad. Yeah, let's put a damper on things.
No, I said she doesn't seem that upset.
No, but she should be. I am.
She should be. But you know what? Listen, she got ice in her veins. She's to me. She got
her laptop. She's fine.
Oh, that's all she needs. Without her, RoboCop does not win.
And these people are all dead in this scene because the thing would have ripped him up.
Well, and for the record, I mean, I know Ed 209's like, I know he can't walk downstairs. That was a problem in the first movie and whatnot. And he has like, dexterity and robotic issues or whatever. But the fact that like this girl like runs up right onto his ankle and like decides like, snip some fuse, just like, put some alligator clips up to some wires or whatever. And all of a sudden she's and he looks down and he's just like, oh, well, I can't shoot that. So I'm just going to look up and
Well, she does this a few times in the movie that she knows exactly where to go, to find a tracker on Robocop to do this chip here, to do that. Like if you show me a robot like that, I wouldn't know the first place to even attempt to look. She goes right through there. It wasn't like she tried lifting the arm. Nope, it's not there. Like she went right to the spot.
Well, were you doing calculus at 10 years old? I don't think so.
How do you know?
What, on your web TV? What device were you using in your slum dog village?
I'm a little older than you. Web TV was, that was for the younger generation.
I think we're all the same age, dog.
But no, just the fact that why do those bad guys always have to do like a countdown? 10, 9.
Always.
Just wipe them out. Isn't that the thing?
Presentation, baby. It's all about pageantry.
No, that goes to the same trope of why do they always leave the good guys when they leave? They tell them the whole plan, like we talked about last time.
Yeah, he said the right word there, trope. We're going to say that word a lot more.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure.
There's a lot of tropes in this movie. And there's a lot of things. So we can talk about it now because we're going to get into a lot of them. Like really, actually in the next scene, we're going to get a lot of them. But so Fred Dekker directed this movie. He directed The Monster Squad. He directed Night of the Creeps. And he was already working on Tales of the Crypt at this time. And like, this was his third big directing movie. And this, obviously, it did do good, which when I always heard the stories about Fred, like when I interviewed from the Monster Squad, Andre, he was like, sometimes when your third or fourth movie doesn't do well, they're not going to give you that big job. But this movie did. Budget 22, box office 47. That's good, dude. You're doubling the friggin' profits. Like, why would they not give it? He had other shots after this, but the jokes in this movie are like Night of the Creeps and The Monster Squad, but it's Robocop. There's so many dumb jokes in this, right? There's some you're like, why are we doing this right now? Why is the elevator door stuck? Why is that in this movie?
It's so dumb. And again, I think because see, the jokes in the first movie were darker, I think, where this almost comes across like an action kids movie. Like it just because it's silly. It's like again, the door being stuck makes no sense. It makes Robocop look like a buffoon.
It was just so stupid,
It's like that's why, like, I guess to go with tropey, we can say like catchy. Kitschy. That was a combination between campy and kitschy. I mean, just
you just invented the word. No, but you're right. That it's just that those lines work in other movies. If this was like a standalone movie about some kind of cop, you can have that comedy put into it. But it just seemed like too in your face. Some of them I laugh, some of them I do like, and I have some of those clips like ready. But so let's talk about the first one. So we get a young Jeff Garlin in the next scene after they escape and they steal everything from the police station. And the Jeff Garlin is a donut jerk.
This is the first time he's been on the silver screen.
What can I do for you, pal?
Everything in the register now! Do it!
What's it like being a rocket scientist?
And
it's up there.
When I saw him, that kind of annoyed me because I actually spoke to Jeff Garlin, and he says, "You know what? I'm not in any sequels, so I wouldn't be good for your podcast."
Oh, what a prick! Are you kidding me?
No, he said that.
Oh no!
So I mean, like, so he wasn't a sequel. I mean, he probably wants to forget this movie. I mean, I don't blame him.
Well, I saw what ticket prices were to see him to do stand up live one time, and they were kind of like hiked a bit. So I'm like, okay, I get it, Jeff. Okay, go ahead and ride your rocket, buddy. But I mean, it's the one thing I want to mention about that scene with Jeff Garlin was how I remember this as a kid. You had all the cops with the laser pointers, laser pointers. That's sorry, all our law enforcement, first responder, and military fans of the show. But all the laser sights were all on the guys like right between his eyes, and then one was in the mouth. One was. That is, I mean, that still like brings some sadistic dark comedy still to it.
Yeah.
I mean, to a certain degree, but I mean, like Jamie was saying, it certainly, like, certain things didn't herald to the first one in terms of like when I watched it as an adult, that's when I got the commercials about, like, you know, your car that would, like, shock the intruder, or like what sunscreen will be in the future, stuff like that.
Well, that's, you know, they had the commercials in the first movie too, right? They had, like, I think it's almost like a Star Troop. Wasn't that Star Trooper?
Yes, yes. I'm glad you said that. It has that very utopian, dystopian. Yeah.
So it has that kind of feel to it too.
100%. Oh yeah. I mean, I was so surprised that they did that back in the 80s. I mean, I was born in 84. And then this, I mean, I don't know when, I know we're talking about Robocop 3 right now. Sorry, but I mean, Robocop 1 came out at a certain age. And when I watched it, I was a Schwarzenegger guy going like, who's this opposite of Terminator? Whatever. But I didn't get the jokes. I mean, God, the first two Robocops, no matter how dark the second one was, perfect. I mean, they were good movies. I mean, really. And action be damned, sequels be damned, whatever.
You're right.
And so Jeff Carlin actually said he ate 36 donuts filming the scene. So somehow it took that long that he had to eat 36 donuts for.
Do you think that was the start of his weight gain?
I would like to think so. You see how he was trim, man. He had more hair than, oh God.
So that's probably why he doesn't want to talk about it. It's a sore subject.
It's his turning point.
Jamie's right. I think Jamie's right.
In his biopic or his Weight Watchers journey, that's when it all changed on that day.
This is the sound of your ride home with Dad after he caught you vaping. Awkward, isn't it? Most vapes contain seriously addictive levels of nicotine and disappointment. Know the real cost of vapes. Brought to you by the FDA.
That guy kept flubbing his lines. The other guy.
Now, to go back again real quick, though, I mean, this movie was released in a different year than it was made, though, right? I mean, there was a huge
2 years
gap,
later,
right?
Yeah, 2 years.
Yeah, I mean, nobody talks about that. I mean, was that an international difference, or I mean, what was it?
No, it was because Orion went out of business, so they had to shop it around for somebody to pay for the release. Sometimes companies do that strategically, but they just...
Sorry for all the hardcore movie fans who are listening right now. I apologize. I'm just now getting caught up on Orion's downfall.
So then we get Lewis is back in this movie, Nancy Allen. And man, I'm still shocked at what happens in a few, but it was good to see, like, because obviously Peter Weller's not in it. They could have obviously went a different route in the whole story, but it's good that she's back in this movie for a few.
No, just to show you a little throwback to the original, like, you know, since it is a different actor. I do have a question, and I should have asked probably in the beginning though, but this takes place a few years after the first Robocop, correct?
Yeah.
Right?
The first one's 88.
How come they haven't made another Robocop?
They did.
No, but how come they haven't made another Robocop?
What do you mean? Like you mean like
Peter Weller? Like Peter Weller. He's still on the force. So why haven't they made... I mean, apparently the Japanese made multiple ninjas. So why couldn't they... Like, why wouldn't... why haven't they made another Robocop?
Oh, no, exactly. No, you're right. No, you're absolutely right. Especially they talk about the money and what it can do, what RoboCop can do all by himself. Yeah, why not just get two of them and get rid of a couple of cops?
Well, I guess, Jamie, it's a lot like when Chief Gates back in LAPD in the early 90s built that first armored car that had like the big thing on it that had the smiley face or whatever. I mean, yeah, it was a great innovation at the time, but I mean, they never thought to have two of them, I guess. Yeah. I mean, I don't know.
Well, he made it through two movies, the RoboCop, and he cleaned up twice. So you would have thought they would have made another RoboCop. That's all I'm saying.
It's a jaded. Alex Murphy is a jaded storyline, baby.
That is true. All right.
So then we get like a little bit of a chase scene because we have Nancy Allen, Officer Lewis, and they're actually in that donut shop. They get a call.
Oh, which by the way, I want to mention, there is no Esposito Street in Detroit. I don't care what year it is. They were making a left or somewhere onto Esposito Street. I wrote that down. There's no Esposito Street in Detroit ever.
Look at that. How dare you?
So we got our street expert too now.
We got our Detroit.
Well, I'm from the West Coast. I'm sorry.
Well, it could be. Wait, is Phil Esposito? Oh no, he played for the Blackhawks, right?
Wait a minute.
I was thinking if he played for the Red Wings, they could have named it after him.
Yikes!
You got me, Doug.
Well, there's no hockey. We have hockey fans that listen. I think maybe. So then we
should.
So we got Mr. Kruger driving that A-Team van. They're getting chased, and I do like what he had. That was a cool contraption that he was able to turn all the lights. He says, "Watch this." He hits I love how all those in every movie, it's always like this big box with the one button. It only does one thing. There's no way to reverse
Well,
it.
I mean, think about the computers back then were huge. So, they didn't have the technology yet.
Gotta have big buttons. But yeah, turns them all green. They get through just in time. Big car accident. Everybody flips. And then we see one person still following Robocop.
Who can that
Hold
be?
the champagne.
So here's the little story. So Peter Weller was actually very interested in reprising his role, and he actually visited Fred Decker personally because he wanted to do it, and he wanted to be able to do the movie. But when they were set to film RoboCop 3, he was in David Cronenberg's Naked Lunch, and he wasn't able to do the movie even after it. But someone else was actually going to be cast before Robert Burke, and that was Michael Dudikoff.
No way.
Really?
But he passed on it. He passed on it because Peter Weller was actually his mentor.
When did American Ninja come out? Like, what was he still making American Ninjas?
Well, he was done with the first two.
Okay.
Yeah. He was done with all those canon ones by then. In 91. So, but then Robert Burke, who's in this movie, it's hard to fill in a role like this, like to play a character that's so stoic, and it's hard to do it. He did honestly the best job that he probably could. But after this, he blew up. He was in Thinner. Around this time, he was in Tombstone, and then he was on Oz, Law and Order, and like a ton more. The guy's done.
He probably had a better career than Peter Weller.
From this on, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, because I don't think I know Peter Weller had a few cameos here and there, but I don't think he really made it that big, right? I mean,
oh, well, he was huge before. He was in a bunch of stuff before it. No, the last time I saw Peter Weller was on Dexter. He was the private investigator, like the ex-cop on Dexter. But yeah, no, I thought that was very interesting that Michael Dudikoff.
He's too big. He wouldn't fit into the costume.
He wouldn't fit. So then we get the first like punk gang. First time we see the Detroit punks. And out of all the guys, you get this guy in this green suit and this like ugly ass tie. And he keeps saying dumb broad when looking at Nancy Allen. Like he just keeps saying it over and over again.
Well, the way women are treated in this movie, or spoke to, not so much treated, spoke to, is like unbelievable. I mean, really, it's like almost a little uncomfortable. Some of the things, like how they treat, like, so, I mean, you could tell, like, this is, unfortunately, this is how women were treated in the 80s, because you see this a lot in these movies.
And it was in these movies. It was almost just like, it was obviously probably maybe at the time the way people thought about this crap, but in those movies, it was like damsel in distress. And later in the movie, the accuracy of RoboCop is something I don't think is that possible. The way he fires his gun usually, but
well, I also didn't realize. I must have missed it, but his gun hand, he had it in the beginning of the movie.
Yeah,
I didn't know that. Okay, I didn't realize that. So I thought somehow that gun just somehow.
You
fit
saw
exactly.
You thought when he was laying there at the end of the movie, it just happened to be a gun that fits.
It just happened to fit perfectly. Yes. Well, okay,
which is weird.
The whole movie's weird, so I can't, like I wouldn't put it past them. But then I still have a question because to fit that gun hand on, does he take his hand off? Like in the beginning of the movie, he's walking around with the gun hand, right?
Yeah.
Well, I think this goes on to my second page of notes where I said, "Welcome to the new toy." Oh my God, I didn't realize how goofy that looked. I mean, just like Jesus, Pete. I mean, I guess if we're going to do Robocop 3.0 or whatever, he has to have a certain feature. The jetpack wasn't enough, which was a really good feature. He flew around, it charged him up, whatever. But I mean, this stupid, well, yeah. The arm. Well,
then they make you like you see this in a lot of movies. Can he put like a chainsaw on there? Can he put other thing, a flashlight? Like
blender. It's like blend up some, make some cookies.
I think the three of us need to write a movie here because we got a good idea right here. I mean, just like on top of just that.
Robocop 4.0 with all of his new gadgets. Bluetooth, Wi-Fi.
That's it.
All.
Oh, which also for the record, I want to give a shout out to Delta City or the city of Detroit in the early to mid 90s in that they were using 5-star video phones before me and my ex-wife used to pitch those right before like iPhones became a thing or whatever. So I mean that is exactly what they look like. That's exactly how they work. They were really hot for a year and then smartphones came out.
So then we get like so Bertha and the gang they're with Lewis and everyone at this point, and that other like punky gang is there at that same time. So then we get Robocop. He's getting the call from the captain to go to this other scene, but at that very same time he's getting the call from Lewis that he needs help, and at that point he's like pissed off. He smashes his computer, and then
Murphy, are you listening?
But he's not malfunctioned yet, so he shouldn't disobey what he was supposed to do in the first place. Like because he turned around for a personal help this friend.
Yeah,
right.
He's still human. It's not Peter Weller, but he's still human.
No, I get that, but I mean, they even said, I mean, the fact that he can't shoot the bad guys yet because he has that program in him, he shouldn't go away from his directives.
No, exactly.
God, he's right. Yeah.
So then here's his entrance. So this is like Robocop. So we get him. Oh man, this part is just it makes no sense. So he gets to this scene, and this is where he pulls like his gun out of the steering wheel. And why does he fly off the roof like this?
They use this footage a lot over and over. I like it. Same thing over and over.
Yes.
Again. There it is again.
But why does he fly over?
For the record, those cops ran out of bullets. Those idiots, they were shooting it. Like one of them had a shotgun. He was just shooting into the darkness.
But why didn't he use the door? Why do you have to go through the ceiling?
Exactly. Why is he ruin that car?
The car dropped straight down too.
Correct.
But yeah, it made no sense. Yeah, why? First of all, why is he flying off a building? It does make sense. He can't get it. Well, we see he can get hurt, so he's ruining the car.
He can't respond normally like a normal cop.
Yeah, I don't know why he pulled up there to make an entrance. He's Robocop. He could just walk up.
Yeah, he could have jumped off there. I mean, so you talk about the damage that he caused on that roof up there, the street, damage down below. I mean, so in all three movies, he causes a lot of damage.
Oh yeah, he's like Batman, but like with no. Yeah. I mean, well, he's owned by the city.
Yeah,
yeah. I love his line. It says, "Police officer, no loitering," and then he just murders.
Oh, punny! They had to. Come on, dog.
I do love the music. That's one thing that's great about any like sequel. When you get to like the third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth film, it's so cool when you have that same. Because that is good to hear that familiarity from like the first two movies. He says fit,
and it comes out every time he brings his gun out. That music comes out.
It does,
like every time.
Oh yeah. Oh, it's like when you sent me that gift the other night. It was like, "Thanks for your cooperation." Like I started losing my mind. I'm like, "That's perfect."
Yeah.
Don't move, creep.
And how about they're sitting there and they're like, how many are left? Lewis asked him and he says 3. And then I know where you see a bullet fly. It's going towards her face and he catches it like Mr. Miyagi in Chopsticks.
He does a few things in this movie that Superman can't do. You know, I mean, someone actually, I mean, not told me. I mean, if I ever heard like any like behind the scenes or like, you know, director's commentary for anything, whatever, somebody once said that Peter Weller wouldn't have pulled off that move or he wouldn't have approved it once. I mean, where it's just like, it's not like something he could physically do or something Robocop would do. But I mean, you know, it's pretty cool. I find that hard to believe because Robocop moves extremely slow. He moves like Jason. Like he just walks everywhere.
Jason. Wait, who moves worse, Jason or Mike Myers? I mean, come on.
Oh yeah, they're both in the same boat. You know,
they stroll.
So for RoboCop to catch a bullet, gotta move pretty fast. I've never seen him in these movies ever move fast. So
well, and needless to say, like a few minutes later in that scene where like they're throwing the gasoline on him, and he's just sitting there, just staring at him, and they're just like, you know, shooting at him or whatever. It's just like, oh, this guy has the computer technology in his eye brain of an Apache helicopter where you can like suss out 8 targets and just be like, oh look, I got a machine gun arm, bam, 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 done. I mean, that's kind of how the technology should work, right? I mean,
right.
But the fact that he lets the 2 punks throw the alcohol and light him on fire, and then they run into a building, and then he just happens to, maybe it's just dumb luck that when he walks into the building, the sprinklers go off. And then
but hold on. So he's made of metal or whatever he's made of, but his face is normal. His face should have been burnt off. Like it's human. He's got human flesh for a face.
Yeah.
Because when he goes back to the office, he just has like little charcoal on him.
I know.
I mean, it really should have melted.
Cyborg eats bullets, Jamie. Come on.
Okay. Just saying, you know, his face is the only part of his body that's human.
And why did he kill these guys? These guys tried to kill him.
Yeah.
The other people I know were shooting at him and, you know, putting Lewis in danger, but he just lets him get arrested. And it kind of comes back and not bites him, but why wouldn't he like take these guys off the street? They were going to murder him. And he was just...
Well, Doug, you ever played those video games back in the day where it's like if you arrest the guy, you get more points than if you kill the guy? I mean, I get it.
RoboCop's on a point system. That's his bone. What does he get? Where does he live? Where does RoboCop live? Does he just sleep there?
No, he is in his chair, right?
He gets plugged in.
Yeah, like my phone right on my bedstand at night.
That's what he does. He just sits on Lewis's nightstand. Just sits in the corner and just watches her.
That's kind of creepy.
It makes sense because when we get that one like weird image later in the movie when he's getting fixed and he sees his wife and then she morphs into, you know, Nancy Allen, they look alike. Well, he morphs to 3 women. So is he having like dreams about them?
Well, I'm just glad the movie's tied it all together. God forbid, regardless of the difference in directors or whomever.
No, but I want to know, like, was he like having deep dreams about them?
I would assume so.
Like what dreams? Can he have that? Does he have a dick?
I'm just saying, would he rust?
Oh, where would his dick be? I mean, let's talk about that for a minute.
It's on his arm.
I mean, he's a robot. He can have it anywhere.
Well, look, his gun is on the right leg, so I mean, there's room on the left. I mean, I'm just saying, take it from a guy who used to throw luggage for United. I mean, there's space everywhere.
Yeah, but it's probably like not there. It's like Inspector Gadget. He pushes one button, and he pushes a button, and then it comes, gets bigger. That's all.
So then we get RoboCop when he's getting driven back to the police station, and it's like his human part. You know, how much is left? 10%, 20%. He like sees the cops like sort of like assaulting these people, sees Nico, and he's like, I love that they have to show us that he's recording this, is it says record in the bottom, and then later when he flashes back, just maybe some a-hole will be in the movie theater, be like, hey dude, you didn't record that. How'd you remember that? Because
also different lighting, yeah, you can tell. Yeah, they went back and forced it.
Yeah, and you see like the recording and you see everything. But he's like finally understanding, like, hey, this is wrong. You know, forcing people out of their homes shouldn't have taken that long. the fact that the way they were getting them out was pretty screwed up. And then we get Rip Torn as the CEO. Rip Torn.
He overacts so much in this movie. Although I should say he almost overacts in every movie.
What would you want from Rip Torn?
No, I was saying he pretty much overacts in every movie.
I wish he was in more scenes. After watching this, I realized he wasn't in much. I mean, this is damned exciting stuff.
He sounded like he was like the same character he played in Airplane. Like
no, and what I was gonna say is, like, we were talking about Bradley Whitford, like the way he plays this role. It's Billy Madison, Eric and Billy Madison. This is Artie and Larry Sanders, same character. I don't know if you ever saw the Larry Sanders Show, but it seems like he left that set one day, same suit, same exact suit he wore, and just walked right onto this, and boom, same guy. The line.
Well, I think there's certain actors out there that just can't help playing the same type of character. They just they can't help it. That's that's what they are. And I think he's one of them. I mean, again, he played the chief or the cop in Airplane. Same thing. Yeah. He was always yelling and that's how he plays. That's the Weasley guy is going to play a weasel in every movie.
I've heard some psychotic behind the scenes stuff about him. I mean, you want to talk about method, even though he doesn't have much of a range because we know Rip Torn for what he is or whatever. He had a behind the scenes method, so to speak. I mean, he was kind of a little violent. Like, he'd stay in the character too much, but he never had too much character, really. If you think about all of his movies, to like really, when was he the leading man? Like, when was he ever like the guy who was supposed to really get deep in something? I mean, I don't know.
Well, he doesn't really have the leading man look to him.
No, of course not. And he looked good in this movie. I remember watching it going like, "Hey, Rip, look at the no gray hairs. Just for men's working." I mean, come on. Oh, and also, hey, real quick, since we're talking about Rip Torn's scene, why hasn't Johnson been promoted? He has been around the whole time. He has been, I know he's a bootlicker or whatever, but at the same time, it's like, why hasn't he had his movie to fuck things up?
He's in the first movie, right?
Oh, he's in all the movies.
Yeah, he's in all the movies.
He is, to go back to that word tropey, he's lackey number one, but in the executive role. But I mean, he's firmly ensconced right there. I mean, it's a bummer, but at the same time, I get it. But why don't we give Johnson his own movie? I mean, let him screw it
up. So then we get like an idea of like what this plot is. Like we kind of talked about it in the beginning, but like basically what they're Rip, the CEO, is trying to get Delta City in shape for like the Japanese. So that's kind of like what his job is. So then Kane Mitsu, right? Is that what it is? Kane Mitsu. He's sending
Kanamitsu-san.
Yeah, he's sending a ninja. And if you would have told me, like, obviously we see the movie, so we know about it now, but if we would have like recorded it, like live watching it, I'd have been like, it's a Robocop versus a ninja.
So you didn't think it was a robot? He was a robot?
Oh, I didn't think he was a robot at all. I just thought it was a ninja.
I was thinking he was a robot right off the bat. I'm like, because that's the only bad guy around, and I'm like, all right, so they're really reaching now. So I was thinking it. I don't know why I thought it, because I mean he was meditating with no shirt on.
Yes.
So the robot. So apparently, spoiler alert, it is a robot. He takes his shirt off
to trick us, to trick people. Because I had no idea. Maybe like robots don't. He's like a new age robot, and maybe he's easier to make because
I always thought he was like kind of like, even though it took the third movie for him to come out, he was like the T-1000 to the Terminator, so to speak.
Yeah.
I mean, they obviously have a better model to combat the other machine.
But. I mean, I don't want to go too far in the movie. Just forget it.
Go for it.
He should definitely be better than the way he comes out. Like, I mean, just the ending, I thought it was horrible for him.
Well, there's a reason behind the ending being so bad. So we'll get into why it turned out like that way. But so then we get these little things. So we get like the Murphy is at the police station. Robocops get like a tune-up from Dr. Lazarus. And how about did you guys notice the man in the police station getting arrested and he was dressed like a Swedish girl, and he had a giant lollipop.
Yeah, what was the again? What was the point of that? He was a hooker.
Dresser.
He was a hooker.
They hit Boy George hard. I mean, man.
But it didn't like it just didn't fit the scene. Like again, what was the point? Like it was just thrown in there for comedy.
I think
purposes.
it's just those jokes like that Fred Decker does in his movies. He just like throws in these random things
But the fact that he's also licking a huge lollipop.
Yeah, you got to hit it over the head, Jamie. You got to make sure people get it.
All right.
maybe the extra was in the prop room, and he's like, "There's no way they'll let me use this," and they did. They let him use it.
And it was like the busiest police station ever. Like everybody was like running back and forth. There was like people like arrested. Like it was a very busy police station.
Aren't they always in the movies like Beverly Hills Cop? I feel like there's a trillion, like every cop movie when people are in there, it's like anarchy. It's like something in the city is like going on, no matter what.
Except for Naked Gun.
I've never been to a police station before, God forbid, ever, where I've walked up and there's like a bar or a desk where like, you see everyone sitting there like barking orders.
Yeah, well, like, is that how it is? Like, when you walk into a police station, if you're getting arrested, like, you go right to a high desk where someone directs you where to go, or like.
Usually, it's like usually people like sit behind like a bunch of lucite glass, like sitting like mostly people are sitting behind like a window.
So then we get from here. You have Mr. Flack, Bradley Whitford. He's pissed off. He's yelling at Dr. Lazarus, saying like, "Hey, he disobeyed an order. You can't let that happen again." And then this is the part when she's like, "Hey, I want you to take away his memories." Right? It's right at this point that he says, "I want his memories gone."
Well, no. Well, the doctor says I can do it. So
I wrote this down. I said, all of a sudden, this assistant, this lackey, comes up with something sealed in a plastic bag.
He happened to have it in his pocket.
Insert this chip into his brain, it'll remove everything. So it's like, so you already made it, and it's already in a Ziploc baggie. I mean,
So he's the only Robocop out there. There's only one, and this assistant walks around with the one thing that can erase his memory all the time.
And he looked so nervous delivering the line. Him telling the story just seemed like this guy, the actor, poor guy, is just like, remember the line. Because you can like hear him. He's not talking. He's trying to remember what his line is. And then how about even like right after that scene when she's like, I'll do it. I'll do it. And he's like, you will? And the guy comes up and he's like, when do you want to do that? And she's like, don't worry, I'll take care of it. And he's like, okay. He just disappears and we never see him again.
And it literally he probably never saw Hollywood again. So
the very most important person in the movie. No, he just came in and said like, well, I have this thing in this little Lunchable baggie that's been sealed in the factory that could work right now, but okay. Who made it?
So at this point we have him, he's hooked up to the computer and the memories are on the screen. And that's where he's having the memory of Nico, right? Yeah, Nico being... everybody. He's having the memory of the kid getting taken by the cops and then Nico going to the church. So he's able to...
Also, which for the record, Officer Lewis just walks right into this whole secured facility and just is like, what are we watching?
Yeah.
Well, the police didn't make Robocop, right? It was made by that other company.
OCP, yeah.
Yeah, so why isn't he isn't that OCP would be his headquarters, or like in even in 2 was?
Yeah, but Jamie, there'd be a key card. There'd be some frisking. There'd be something to be like just some patrolman who just walk in and be like, "Hey," snap some gum in their lips. What's going on here?
You mean like the little girl walking to the police station later in the movie and just able to get any?
Oh yeah.
Okay, all right.
How the fact that she does that? And how about when Murphy interrupts like the cop meeting going on, he opens the door, looks in, and then just looks around, and then walks out, and then he just goes.
Oh, which by the way, he operates the doorknob there, and he busts open many doors in the movie that I'm very upset about. Where it's like, oh, so in this scene, you know how to work a knob? It's like, I mean, come on.
And then he has that. Like,
that's where a lot of that budget money goes to.
Yeah, all the money
Doors?
went into door opening, slow-mo shots, zoom in. But then from there, he sees Nico again. And then he goes to the computer. He uses like an R2-D2 type thing to hack into the computer. It opens it up.
Oh, they have to dramatically show that every time, the whole...
Yeah.
But like, I thought he would use that as a weapon. That looks like it could be a weapon. I mean, like,
well, no, Jamie, did you see the first movie? I mean, he did use it at one point.
He sliced someone's neck, didn't he? With that,
yeah, he sliced open Eric Foreman's dad's neck.
Yep, you're right.
Good old Red
Spoiler.
Great villain. He plays pretty good bad guy.
Oh yeah.
But yeah. So then he's able to go into that computer. And then he figures out, where the church is. And then him and Lewis drive out to the church. How about her calling him Robo?
Robo, are you okay?
I wrote that down. I mean, yeah. So he goes by. He's Mr. Cop. So I mean, so that's like, why would she calls him Murphy all the time? Why would she call him Robo? And that's like it's his first name.
And the fact that he's got to know that he has a tracking chip, because he already feels like kind of like upset about everything that's like happening. And the fact that he goes to this church to find this little girl to figure out what's going on. And he's surprised that the OCP follows him and shows up there.
Well, how about the fact that she's not wearing she was offered her body armor, bulletproof vest.
Yeah.
She's
off duty.
Yeah, off duty, but she's going right into the action right away. You knew something the minute they met, because why would they mention that in the movie? So you knew something was going to happen.
I was still shocked that it happened when he shot her. And he's like, "These are innocent people."
She was standing in front of Robocop. He's like bulletproof. Why would she be standing in front of him?
That is true.
It's partners, I guess, man. I mean, come on.
Right.
We're not cops. I came close to being a cop, but I mean, I wasn't. But I mean, still.
So you're telling me he's fast enough to catch a bullet, but he's not fast enough to jump in front of a bullet.
No, he's only fast enough to catch a bullet. Evidently, at one time we saw.
So his hand moves very fast.
That one time.
Well, I don't know. Later, when he's petting Nico's head, he's barely moving. He's like, it takes forever to get to the hair.
That seemed dangerous. Hey, I didn't write that down, but I remember as a kid when he's petting Nico's head. I mean, there's a lot of pinch points in there. She's got long hair, man. I mean, that looked a little tense to me, and I'm a male with short hair. I mean, come on.
Great.
Anyways,
so the fact that
I'm sorry, Jamie. I'm still stuck on Mr. Cop.
That's amazing.
That is. What do we call him, Mr. Cop?
Well, it just makes sense. Robo.
I'm sorry.
I'll have to make that new T-shirt, Mr. Cop. So then we get. So Robocop at this point, he obviously knows, I guess, that he can't shoot cops because he's aiming at them and he's just like frozen, but he's able to shoot a cop car. And wouldn't his computer system know that if he blows up a car, it could hit the cops in front of him?
Well, he probably has it all figured out in his computer brain that, the diameter of the explosion that's going to go off, it's not going to go near the people that are standing there.
Collateral damage, yeah. He's like, oh yeah, I'll shoot this, and this won't like shrapnel anybody. Maybe.
It's like Terminator. In Terminator 2, he shoots everybody not to kill, but he aims at the areas that are going to keep him alive.
That's true. And then he gets blown through the door.
Well, yeah, then
he gets beat up a lot in this movie.
He gets his ass kicked. So I'll just drop this now real quick. So Jerry was saying like this movie, I was born in 86. So like this movie, they knew like how graphic the first two were. They were like, hey, let's get a younger audience, just like Rambo. Let's do a cartoon, Rambo the cartoon. And they did Robocop the cartoon. So like that's what really pissed off the director, Fred Decker, because he knew like he couldn't do the blood and the gore that he wanted to, because there was video games, there was everything, and they were tailing that to a younger audience. So you can tell that. Like, I didn't know until after I watched the movies and I did like all the like looking at all that stuff in the notes and research. But then you think about it, like, that sucks for him because he had to make it such a different movie. But even in these scenes, the fact that I know he shouldn't shoot the cops, which makes it for something cool later in the movie, but it just is so silly.
Well, thing about Terminator 2. So Terminator 1 was a super gore, violent movie.
Yeah.
Second one, he's got the kid. He's, he can't kill anybody. So like, you got the great special effects, but it was dumbed down for a younger audience.
Yeah.
So same concept here. Like this is a very similar scenario, I think, with the series.
Early 90s, yeah, they were trying to get as many eyeballs or people in the seats,
Exactly.
Buying tickets. I mean, and which I dig because I was one of those asses in one of those seats trying to see as many movies as I could.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So do you see, Jamie, a little correlation with Lewis when she was dying? And she says, get them for me. Promise? He says, I promise.
Well, hold on. First and foremost, the fact that he was carrying her through the church and the music was going that certain way. I mean, oh my God, I had to take a minute when I was watching the movie last night and nobody was around. I'm just like, Jesus,
like,
this is a little heavy-handed. No,
they really gave her a send-off. Like she's saying,
"Oh hell yeah,
I'm scared," and he's like, "It'll be over soon. Don't worry," or something like that, or like But how about the fact that she's a cop and she wants vengeance?
Well, this is the only way it could end for a Detroit police officer if you think about it.
Okay, but if she is a real cop, vengeance is not really, can you arrest them for me? Like she wants him to go out there and murder them.
It's Rocky too.
She didn't say arrest them for me. No. Bring them to justice for me.
Yeah.
She said get them for me.
Avenge them.
But it was like Rocky too. It was Adrian.
It was
saying like,
it was
win, because he plays that back.
You know what? That would have been great though if she's like right before kill, or kill. Something, say
Dong.
something,
Dong.
Yeah, that's great. So then they're all running away because that's where their hideout was for like Bertha and the gang, like in that church. They're all running away, and then Nico and Bertha want Robocop, who's like sort of injured at this point, not moving too fast, to join them. Stephen Root and Mr. Kruger don't want him to come. Finally, they give in. But the fact that Robocop is passed out at this point, this is when he passes out. And you're like, how long is he going to be out for? Pretty much a lot of the movie.
Yeah, a big part. I want to know why, if they had this underground hideaway, why were they hanging around the church?
I don't know. And then,
I mean, to have an upside to like scavenging and foraging, maybe. I mean, something above the ground. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, but there was a lot of innocent people hiding and afraid. So I mean, like they have a whole lair down in the Seward. There's a whole city down there. So why are they hanging out at like a church unless they're just doing church stuff?
Because then they'd be a good movie, Jamie.
Gotcha. Although I haven't seen a good movie, so I don't know. That's
they needed to get Officer Lewis in that church for that somber scene of her death. It was in her contract. Nancy Allen says, "You're gonna kill me. Kill me in a church." So
she got an Oscar for that. She got an Oscar for that death. That was an Oscar-worthy death.
But I do like that. How about the innocent cop that died when he was like, they're like, "All right, we're gonna check the sewers." And he checks the
the first manhole he checks. Yeah.
Explodes. Oh my gosh.
Which also we're gonna see him later in the movie, but I wanted to mention it now because I wrote it down now. But McDaggett's right hand, his heavy. I told you this, Doug, but does he not look like Timothy McVeigh? I mean, come on. Did anyone Google image what Timothy McVeigh looks like? This guy is a spitting image of, well, he's either that or he's in like some like British prog rock band from like the 80s or something. I mean, he's angular and crew cut. I mean, come on.
You mentioned British. Why is a bad guy always like with a British accent?
I don't know. It's so
true. It sounds refined, maybe. It sounds dignified or something. I don't know. I mean,
but that's
it's always an accent Russian or something. I mean, yeah you're right.
It's either Russian or like English accent.
Oh, you're right. Yeah.
So much of like that mid 80s to like mid 90s, like that decade.
Yeah, but we had issues with Russia. We really didn't have issues with England. So,
That's a good point. That's actually a really good point. Yeah. I mean, and then McDaggett calls everyone chum, which would hint towards Australia, but McDaggett sounds Scottish, so I'm just confused.
So are the writers. Don't worry. Oh my God.
So are the audience. So it's all right. We're all there.
So then the cops are, dude, this is wild, dude. So the cops announced, like, on the news that Lewis was gunned down and that Robocop has joined the terrorists. That's something, man. You don't think the whole city knows this? This taxpayer dollars, millions upon millions of dollars are going into this Robocop, and he can flip on a dime like that. That's what obviously everybody in the city thinks. But for them to mention that, man, that's
why there was panic right afterwards. I mean, everybody was panicking.
Yeah. Everybody's going crazy. Dude, how about how crazy The Office is? How about that whole scene?
Okay. The guy jumping out. Okay. I mean, that's got to be one of the worst deaths, is jumping out of a building. But he jumps out like he's trying to fly. Like he didn't like jump out. He dove.
What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? Like a somersault, Jamie? When you jump? I mean, come on.
No, if I'm gonna jump, I'm not gonna. I feel like if I maybe land on my feet or back, like my ass, I might survive. You're going head first. That's gonna be more painful. I don't know.
I don't think you want to survive.
He just looks so like he looked like he was like a Greatest American Hero when he was jumping out the window. The way he jumped.
And what a role! You don't even see your face. They just sort of mention a guy's name, and then
what a credit! Guy who commits suicide.
So he's not even sad because he didn't say any words.
Oh, he might not.
Well, he did before he hit the ground. He went.
Yeah, but they cut it out of the movie, so it doesn't count.
That could have been ADR. You're right.
Oh my God. And then we cut to the limo. We have a limo and the ninjas in it. So we get this ninja in there for this ninja pulling up. And then this is where it's back to the office, like where all hell is breaking loose. We have, how about in the CEO's office? I don't know if you guys noticed, in the corner, there was a ginormous, first of all, that office had huge ceilings. Like, I don't think it was really in a building, but it had like a big box with blinking lights all over it. Like, it was some kind of computer that I guess Rip Torn.
It was like a command center. Yeah.
Yes.
I thought that too. Yeah. It's like, oh, so this is the city council meeting, but also.
Yeah. I guess that is where they have the final scene in the movie, but it doesn't look like the one that we see at the end of the movie. In the end of the movie, it's like, two of them. In this, it only looks like one. But anyway, this whole scene with like Bradley Whitford, and he gets fired. And when he turns and has the gun, first thing I'm thinking, not even thinking about the suicide when the guy jumps out the window, I'm thinking he's about to shoot Rip Torn. That's the first thing I thought.
See, I thought he was going to shoot the other guy.
Oh.
And then we would find out that because I thought Rip Torn and the Weasel were together.
That would have been a hell of a twist if he shot Johnson. I would.
That's what I thought. That's what I thought was going to happen.
No, he walks out. He walks out of the room. They say, "Clean out your desk." He walks out. Johnson is getting the new job, and you hear off screen.
And even when I heard that, I thought Johnson was going to like look down and blood's going to start coming out of his chest.
Oh,
like,
wow.
I thought he got shot in the back. Yeah.
Boom. Now we cut to the terrorists. This is their swanky hideout. There's a lot of people down there. They have computers. They have internet. They have it pretty made. Like where they're at now.
They do.
Who would want to go back to that building that's half,
They're the first to have Wi-Fi. I wrote it down. I think they're the first to really cultivate technology down there.
They invented it. The terrorists.
It looked like they had it. So
they also, that stupid ninja robot, he was smoking a cigarette. What robot smokes? I mean, I've tried to like see how many cool robots smoke or whatever, but what the shit?
Well, he does take his shirt off. So, I get, smoking, all the cool robots do that.
Okay. Well, the coolest.
Jerry, what years are these movies? How far into the future do they have these? Any idea? Like the first
one, in terms of what they consider the projected future? I mean, I don't think they ever.
No, what year? Like what year is the movie taking place?
Yeah, it's it's not like Demolition Man where they say San Angeles, the year 2033
Yeah.
or whatever. I don't really, unless they mention it once in the very first movie, I have no clue. I mean,
Yeah, I'm surprised.
I would assume it's going on right now.
Yeah, yeah, it's probably right now. Yeah, all those movies are during the time we're in right now.
2028.
Oh, we still got some ways to go. All right.
So we'll get Robocops and Roboninjas any day now. So then even the terrorists have a Christmas tree set up. They're festive. At least they're ready for that. So then we have Bertha. This is the line that I mentioned earlier. So she says, if only, she's yelling at Mr. Krueger, which I do like his line. I forgot what car he says, but he's like, I'm sorry, Bertha. It's not like fixing a 79 Pontiac. And he's like yelling at her. He's like the fixer guy. But he's the
mechanic. Let's look.
He's the mechanic fixer guy.
He is the mechanic. That's it.
The fact that they can't fix him, and then I know where he just like wakes up for a second just to say he's almost like Tin Man. Oil can. He goes, find Dr. Lazarus. and then passes right
again.
out.
Yeah. It passes out. But again, the little girl, Nico, is part of this crew. You have so many adults that are down there, and she is literally part of the master crew.
Now, listen, guys, real quick. They might have been alluding to something here in terms of Japanese technology, yada, 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 whatever. Robocop went from 25% to 23% to all of a sudden 12% before he passed out. Okay. So, I mean, he died just like my old phone died 3 years ago. So to be fair, there's something fishy there in terms of the how the CPU works, right? I mean,
well, you would think by the third movie they would have a stronger battery life.
I would think so.
Well, but it's the same guy though, the poor guy. I mean, it's still
you can't upgrade you can't upgrade his battery. You built a robot around a human being. You're gonna tell me they can't make a battery that lasts longer than 8 hours?
It's Detroit Police Department backed by Trump golf resorts. What do you want?
So now so Nico kind of did that on her own. Nobody said to go to, so she just bounced. It wasn't like she said, hey, I'm going to go find this lady. She just kind of bounced because remember when she returns, they pull guns on the van that they're in, which that's a whole other thing.
Well, yeah, but because she came in a cop van.
Yeah, that's why. Yeah, that's true.
So I don't think she went on her own. They probably, I again, she's 10 years old. Why is she the one that's going there for a very important mission? And no, she does it.
So you're telling me they cut that scene? They were like, you know what? We don't want the audience to know that Nico said, hey guys, I'm going to go real quick. Okay, bye. That 5 seconds.
Maybe they pick straws.
Who's to say?
And then it was like bogus journey. Then they said best 2 out of 3, then best 5 out of 7. They're like, all right.
Or they just figured, you know what? She's the smallest one. No one's going to notice her going into confidential rooms.
Said it. You know what?
So far, yeah.
That's it. So then we cut to inside how big this lair is, right? How big is it? It must be like monstrous. It's like the inside of like a football stadium, because the fact that they have like the guards and then Roboninja shows up, and this is where you find out that Jamie knew that he was a robot. So.
I knew already. Yeah.
But the fact that he's like taking these guys out, and why do bad guys, not even bad guys, these are good guys, the terrorists, but why do people always get within like reach range when you have a gun?
Always.
Michael Myers, always. Why am I going to put the shotgun next to you where you can grab? Because just shoot him from far
bravado.
away.
Strictly hubris, bravado. I mean, come on.
But they also waste they always wait too long. Like if they acted a little sooner in all these movies, they would never have a problem.
Well, it's the whole trope of the whole tell me your evil plan before you kill me, Dr. Spectre or whatever.
Yeah, but this guy was not speaking anything. So
it was similar, but on a much more lower level.
Yeah. But I wonder if during the creative process they said, all right, this is the third movie. We have to find a villain, a bad guy, to fight Robocop. What was this like? One of the top ideas they had was a ninja. Like, Did they have? Did they have anything? I would have rather seen a Transformer go against RoboCop than to see a ninja. Like, to me, a ninja would be like I don't even think ninja would be part of my universe of thinking RoboCop should be fighting a ninja.
I mean, they kind of did that though in the first two movies. Remember when they were saying like, "Oh, here's other alternate models to RoboCop," or like introducing Ed 102 or whatever. I mean, it's so the robots didn't work. I mean, early '90s, I get it.
Yeah. I know ninjas. I'm just saying, like, it just like at least then at least make him look like a robot.
Well,
you know what I mean?
Get in a second when he gets hit, right? I mean, I got something I wrote down here where it's like, oh, when he got his jaw dislocated, clearly, no matter who was standing there, another hand came up and moved it.
I'll tell you, the special effects on the ninja, and both the end and this scene, were very cool.
I love that. Seeing his jaw and the way he moved, like,
very cool.
Well, okay, but the jaw scene though, the only thing that got me was like when he rose up and looked at us or whatever, and the jaw was off. When a hand came up to like put it on, it really felt like, oh, that's some hulking person, and somebody else's hand came up and moved it around. I mean, it was that was. Other than that, the special effects were great on the ninja. Yeah.
Well, how good is that robot if just a guy with a pipe can mess up his face like that?
That's true.
He fixed it though. He fixed it. I mean,
no, he does fix it, but I mean, it should have like bounced off his face. Like, it shouldn't have dislodged his jaw.
I still stick with the T1000 method. I mean, you need liquid metal. That's what works.
And that guy shouldn't even like hit him, and then maybe he was in pain. But what a way to go, that guy, when he's like, I'm not going to tell you anything. And he snaps his neck and grabs like the plastic sheet that perfectly goes over a Detroit City map to tell where the planes are. But it doesn't show.
As he's falling down, he pulls it out of his pocket. He's like, whoosh.
And how does he know exactly which way it goes? It doesn't have like a key to it that this is north or that's south or anything. As he puts it on the map, that I do like when he goes to the gas station and when he just walks in, the guy sitting there with his feet up, he punches it. It punches the glass, takes the map, and it shows how insanely sharp that sword is.
Oh yeah, but the guy's like, you got to pay for that. Yeah. At that point, wouldn't you just run out of there? Like, I mean, if someone's that crazy to do something like that, you see just get out of there. Like, is it worth it? No, you're gonna expect that guy to pay for it.
Yeah. Unbelievable. And then at the same time, Nico, like Jamie talked about it earlier, she sneaks into the police station because they're like, hey, whose kid is that? I don't know. It's Johnson brought his kid in today or something. We're
in the middle of something.
What's that kid gonna do? But finds Dr. Lazarus, says RoboCop said this, and she was like, "Oh my god, it must be."
How many rooms are going to be in the police station?
A ton.
Several.
She walked into the exact room where the doctor is. Yeah. First try.
I don't know what's more crazy, that Nico found her that fast and went into the police station and did all that, or how the hell did that doctor get all of that equipment out of there
without anyone seeing
and took a police? Yes, there's cameras everywhere. We see in this movie, there's cameras everywhere, but she is able to take all of that and just leave.
How'd she take a cop car? She's not a cop.
Exactly. How did she take that and load it up?
The keys? Did they just leave the keys hanging on like a key ring by the front door?
And how long did they take to load that van up? Right? Did Nico do some of the work?
Who's helping her? It's only them two, and you got a 10-year-old girl.
Yes. Maybe they cut a scene of Dr. Lazarus flirting with two, douchebags, and be like, "Hey, can you guys help me carry this RoboCop stuff into this van?"
A couple other guys who called women dumb broads. Yeah.
There's a lot of questions. That whole scene.
But no, how about RoboCop is in a slumber? He has 12%, and he goes, police vehicle approaching. And then he goes
right on, RoboCop. Glad you're here.
Well, how does he know that?
Tracking. I think because he has that tracking chip in him. Maybe he just knows where all the police.
So he has a tracking chip in for every single police car.
I would hope so, Jamie. I would hope so.
Why?
Wouldn't you want your robot cop to be integrated with the rest of the units? I mean,
I guess.
Hey, they all get tune-ups. They all get oil changes. They're one and the same. Maybe that's his friend.
Do you think he gets an oil change?
I think so. But they're probably friends, right? If you're a robot, half robot, little bit of man, or I don't know, 90% robot, 10% man. I don't know what 10%, but like, who are you going to talk to? You're going to talk to, you can't talk to dead Nancy Allen anymore. So you have to have friends with somebody. Nobody else can relate to the wiring that you're dealing with.
You don't think he can communicate with computers?
Maybe.
Yeah, with that needle dick of a hand of his.
Yeah, see? Maybe that's how he talks.
Maybe in 2028 they had like the real life sex dolls that they have, in 2021. Maybe. But I'm thinking
maybe that's how he talks.
So do you think he finds computers attractive?
Yes. 2 screens.
Oh yeah, much like as I answered you guys' question a long time ago, would I have sex with the gremlin once? Maybe. Yeah, sure. I bet he finds computers attractive.
Lady Gremlin, man.
Lady Gremlin.
So this is it, man. So this is where we get the comedy throw in that is just so silly. So Dr. Lazarus says, I can help him. I think he needs a new heart. He got shot in the heart. So then we get a POV of Robocop watching the surgery. And how about Bertha walking in with a heart in her hand and goes, I got the heart for you, I think. And it was just like, what's happening? All these jokes. And then Robocop waking up randomly.
Oh, didn't it slip out of her hand or something?
Yes.
No. Oh no, she held on to it. It was the wrong one, but
no, but it was like it made like a splash or something.
There was some weird sound effect.
It was wet.
Yeah,
it was definitely wet.
Yeah.
But like, what kind of heart does he have?
Bioorganic? I don't know.
And where is she getting it from?
Exactly.
That's the bigger question. She comes in saying, "I got a Nissan. No, I need a Toyota. No, it's just like, oh, where do I find this? So what do I do with
normal.
this now? What does she do with this now?"
But no, even like Kruger, like messing around. All right, give me the chest plate. Like, oh no, this thing shouldn't be on right now. And then they turn them off real quick. There's just like these little gags. It's like, we don't need this.
Yeah.
As an audience.
Well, I think it was a throwback to the first one when they were operating on them. They kept doing the same thing. Like the screen kept going black and then it come back on and he's seeing the people. So I think it was just more of a throwback.
And the memories and yeah. But I mean,
yeah,
like going back to that same word, tropey. I mean, they were, I mean, you said it, Doug, they were gagging the hell out of it.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And then I love when you see that the doctor went in and he erased rule number 4, which
was
don't kill cops.
That was smart. That was a smart move.
Very smart bird. Never. I think it even said never shoot another cop. Didn't it say something?
Took 3 movies,
yeah.
But they got it.
So it took them 3 movies to finally erase that?
Well, they did at the minute, like at some minute of the last, the first one. But I mean, well, that was because, spoiler, he said, "Dick, you're fired," or whatever. And that's when he was no longer an employee. Beep, boom.
So she's a doctor, but is she a computer person? Like, how is she able to? Is that what she is?
Well, he's a bioorganic something.
But I mean, so how, like, who's reprogramming to delete that? Is it that easy to do? Like
the guy we don't see anymore who has that thing in his like little sandwich bag in his pocket, where all of a sudden where he's just like, "Hey, I have something here."
That would be more believable if he was there.
I have something here in my pocket that can make Robocop a meter maid if you're so inclined.
Do you imagine he took his wife to the premiere? That guy, he's like, "Oh my god, I'm in so many scenes."
Watch this, honey. I'm killing it.
And then they got divorced in the parking lot, like on the way back to the car. You loser! You said that you helped RoboCop at the end. I did. I promise.
I was part of it. I swear.
So how about when RoboCop was talking to Nico and was like, "Your parents? Do you miss them?" And then he has like the do, and he knows that they're dead. They show Jody Long and they show their photos and it says like deceased next to him.
That's a super insensitive question. Of course you miss them. You're 10 years old. You're asking a girl who got separated with her parents, do you miss them?
And in
fact, but she probably hasn't even thought about her parents because she's so busy with everything that's going on that's probably keeping her mind off it. So thanks a lot, Robocop, for bringing it back to her.
She slipped right into this gang as chief hacker of 10-year-old. But how about his line to try to make her feel better? Well, she didn't say it. Well, Robocop didn't say like, "Hey, your parents are dead," but he goes, "If you remember them, then they aren't really gone."
Oh, that's so much better.
Thanks, Robocop. Where are my parents? They're dead.
Where was Robocop in Hiroshima? I mean, for God's sakes. For crying out loud.
And then right after this is when he's petting the kid. And Dr. Lazarus comes over and is like, "She should be sleeping." And he's like, "Shh, 1 second."
She is sleeping.
The way he was moving to pet was making me think of how did he catch, like Jerry said, how did he catch that bullet? If he can barely move to pet a kid.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense.
He's going to catch a lot of hair. Beyond that, I'm a heavy sleeper, but that noise of that hand would like keep me up the whole time. I'm like, oh, this isn't soothing. Oh, wait, that's my white noise machine. Just just over and over again.
So then we get Robocop. He's feeling better. The gang's all talking about what they're going to do. And then they point to the wings that they stole from the police armory. And then I'm like, holy shit, Robocop's going to fly in this movie. Like that's all.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that was at first. I didn't realize what that was.
Reveal. It was a good late, like slow burn. I mean,
yeah, but I does it just automatically turn on like the way they do it? Like this, I'm assuming it's got to be programmed again. Like there's too many things that happen too easy. Opening up Robocop's chip to take this out. Like this is high tech stuff.
Yeah,
that looks like anybody can do.
Oh, Doug, I love it. Jamie breaks it apart the way we should. We should ask these hard-hitting questions here. I mean, it's not just a matter of like, yeah, he rolls over onto his back somehow. It's laying the right way. It clips on. He's charging.
I want to get down to the nitty-gritty. I want to get to the bottom of it. That's how I.
Well, you're not. Maybe it's like a game genie. You just like put your video game into the game genie. You plug that in, and it makes it like a whole different like operating system. And you're able to.
You would be a guy that had a game genie.
I did have a game genie.
Why not?
Because that's a cheating thing, right?
It was cheating, but you still have to beat it.
I thought I just gave you codes.
It wasn't cheating before we bought those things. I mean, come on, we struggled.
Even though now I can't play a video game without looking it up on the internet. So,
oh, dude, don't get me started. We could do it a separate podcast, Jamie. I'm such an old man playing video games now, like looking up on Google, like, how do I beat this level I beat before?
Oh, easily.
So then we get right from here. You get Robocop has that Rocky 2 flashback again of Lewis. And this is when he just leaves. He just gets up and he leaves. And I have this clip that I'm going to put up in a second. But when he walks into the police station and you have Sergeant Reed and some homeless guy talking to him, out of all the stupid random jokes, this is the only one that really made me laugh when the guy goes, "Yeah, so you got a Robocop? You got a vampire cop too?" Like, just like the most random friggin' line. But this whole
gotta go, Scott.
Yes. But dude, this whole next scene is just he goes into the police station. He asks, "Hey, what?" I don't even know what he even calls that room to find out where OCP is because he wants to go
okay.
Oh, it was like the OCP staging area.
The staging area, exactly. Yeah, that's what it was. So yeah, this next scene when he goes downstairs.
I love this. They're smoking blue cigarettes, by the way.
Hey, you got a light? Sure, man.
Allow me, scum.
And
has he always had a flamethrower?
Just this scene, I think.
The way he's just walking, and I love that he's thinking like, you know what?
He doesn't walk like Peter Weller. It bugs me.
And he just burns the map.
Oh yeah, here, your map.
So he carries a lot of gas inside of him.
Oh, this guy. Oh, he's got his number.
I don't get that either. Why would he have blown that up? He could have damaged himself. He just got fixed.
Allow me, scum.
And the fire is what started this whole issue. So I'll put myself in fire again.
Yeah, not smart.
but so if he has a flamethrower, then he has to have like he's carrying like couldn't he like explode? He's carrying gas in him.
Oh hell yeah!
anything
If
about
you want
that.
the short answer, yeah.
Oh.
Not a smart RoboCop. But then I
No.
love when he grabs
No.
the mode. Then the guy down that hallway, I don't know if it's that guy or a different guy. He grabs him and it even says on the screen, it says interrogation mode. And he goes, "Where's McDaggett?" And then
What's the different modes he has? Like, I mean, like, isn't his like
Recording
just his
mode?
normal?
interrogation
Mostly
mode?
interrogation mode, I think.
Yeah, but I mean, isn't it like does something happen differently interrogation mode than regular mode?
Well, he's not like Batman who has detective mode.
No,
I mean,
I'm just, I just thought when I saw that, I'm like, what's different about him though?
Better questions. He's better question and answer.
Gotcha. Okay.
He's Sherlock Holmes in that mode. But no, I don't understand why we have to see this. Isn't he just whatever needs to happen at that time? Does the computer
Right.
have to
That's what I'm
flip on
saying.
Yeah. No.
Unless like maybe like depending on if torture has to be involved to get an answer. So when he's in interrogation mode, then he could do the wasp nest torture or something.
Or he says no, but then he has to switch over to torture mode. There's interrogation where I'm asking the question, and then torture mode when I need to get the answers, and then I get But I do love I always love in those movies, in any movie like this, when they do the "Where's McDaggett?" and then they cut to a whorehouse. All of these guys.
oh, it's Gomorrah. Oh my God! Whatever street they shot that on, it's just like, hey, look at these whores. I mean,
Yeah.
and there's like tire fires in the street.
And then you got this is where he meets the pimp.
Well, after
Oh, yeah.
when he gets
What's your
outside,
problem,
he meets the
sucker?
chick.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Talk about tropes.
Oh,
You have a moment. I see it coming up.
oh my God, dude. But no, how about so we see McDaggett in the room and he's on the phone and he actually utters a line and he says, "I thought your ninja was supposed to take care of Robocop for me. That's the deal." And I'm like, unreal that he said, "Your ninja." That this movie came down to this. And friggin' Stephen Root is a bad guy. He turns on his people and he's been doing it the whole time, which is like unbelievable. And why in this technology, there's video phones. So obviously there's cell phones. Why the hell does he have to go there to say that, hey, here's the information? And he's there for seconds before Robocop.
So I'm assuming he meets with them, periodically because he's, undercover. They never know he's missing.
Exactly.
Like the good guys, they never know he's gone.
Well, I mean, they're a nefarious band of underground terrorists, so to speak. I mean, who's keeping a roll call or head count on who's coming in and out? I mean,
true.
Maybe he's in the church.
I see Milton Adams playing the sleaze bag is kind of fun.
Yeah.
Milton.
And he even had a line earlier where he's like, what was it? Where he said, like, are you kidding? It very much sounded like Hudson in Aliens, where he's like, game over, man, game over.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like he's very much got that tone to him.
Oh, yeah, because he was talking about like giving up, right?
Yep.
Didn't he have that line when like the first
We're gonna
time?
find this man. Are you kidding me? every single turn. I mean, how does the guy sleep at night?
Well, we kind of talked about this before, but how about the hooker when the cops come up, the OCP cops, and they...
Oh, okay.
Oh, and which, by the way, that first guy who cocked the gun on the grand lady earlier in the movie, he was one of the two guys who were like, we got lots of money, honey. I mean...
he was.
Wholesome Detroit. I love Detroit.
And she says, I'm just doing it. My dad's out of work. I'm just trying to help out. And when he comes
She put her
up-
case, but I mean, Jesus.
when Robocop pulls that gun out and the way he shoots, how does he just hit those two guys and they blow through the window?
That's the computer targeting that isn't effective in the rest of the movie, dog. That's what it is. Like that's what he started with. Like Jamie was saying, like Terminator vision or whatever. This guy, like an Apache helicopter, he can pick out 8 people in a room and just be like head.
They should show like him like dotting the people he's gonna hit and then shoot it. It would make more sense.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, we got to see RoboCop doing RoboCop stuff all of a sudden. Too bad it was just on this alleyway of debauchery.
So this one, he goes into the building. He asks the clerk, where's McDaggett staying? The guy right away gives it up, gives him the room number. But watch out,
Within
the elevator door sticks. And then when he goes upstairs, and elevator door stuck and he had to like break through it. And
funny. But for the record, when he shot through the door, this is something I wrote down. Big thing I wrote down here. Robocop knows how to use doors. We saw him operate a doorknob earlier, and then he just decides to be like, "Oh, McDaggett's in here," like Western style. Like I'm gonna make my silhouette in the door and just punch right through it. I mean, what the shit was that about?
Well, because he forgot to switch the door opening mode.
Oh, he forgot.
Oh, he's got so many modes. That's why he's outdated. He needs an upgrade. He needs an iOS upgrade, baby.
Yeah.
Come on.
But yeah, there could have been somebody innocent behind that door. But no, I love when he goes in and he's getting ready. He could kill McDaggett right there. You know, he's there for revenge for Lewis. He could have killed him, but he notices Stephen Root and was like, "Hey, I know this guy." And then I love that McDaggett.
He had a human moment. Oh my God.
Yes, he did. His 10% human moment. It happened. McDaggett has enough chance. He's an older guy to scramble and jump out the window.
He landed on his feet.
Yes.
He would have broke his kneecaps and his femur, without a doubt. He just basically
he would have broken everything. Oh. That was elegant. I never noticed that the first time
That was an Olympic gold medal landing.
Just the fact that it was like slow-mo from the angle of the stuntman jumping out the window. And then when they cut and he landed on his feet, I'm like, are you kidding me, dude? And then right away, he has like a van ready to, take him away. And then Jamie talked about it before. The pimp.
Oh my goodness. Pink car. Like the whole like pimp in the 80s. That's what it looked like. It was just ridiculous.
It did look like Doobie's Taxi in Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. Is inside it had all the little things hanging. Yeah. There's lights on the inside. But the fact that you get friggin' Robocop not only fighting ninjas, but he's in a pimp mobile chasing down these bad guys.
See, I feel like the last 20 minutes, there were a lot of gags thrown at you all at once.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I feel like for as long or as short as the movie could be, as he could say or whatever.
A little too long,
like
but yeah.
All like the first half was like, oh, a culmination of good stuff. And all of a sudden they just threw a bunch of pies at you at the end. Just like, oh, whoa. I forgot.
Yeah, I could see that more in the beginning. Like now you got the intense, like, all right, now it's the revenge going out there. And, now's not the time to start throwing jokes. It's like, let's get the movie going. Because, again, we really haven't seen Robocop do too much.
No.
Oh, you're right. Yeah.
Even here, he's not doing too much. He has all these guys that are shooting at him and
they're
shooting back and forth. The top of his pimp mobile blows off. And then I thought, again, it was really stupid because it's Robocop. He could somehow figure out a way, right? He probably has a map GPS in his head. But the fact that they're about to run over these kids playing hockey at what time?
Midnight, like late at night. Yeah.
But the kids get out of the way just in time. And McDaggett, who's going to pay Stephen Root that money in the hotel room, he throws it out the window. And all those kids got out of the way for no reason, right? Because there's no money on the ground. But when there's dollars on the ground, they're like, fuck it. I don't care. This pimp mobile could be doing 100. I'm getting this $1. And that made no sense.
And the fact that he was able to get, again, I can understand if he was running at them and stopped short. He can't control the car because he's a Robocop. The fact that he was able to get that close and spin out and not have a problem. Mm-mm. And
those kids had the best evening of their lives.
They did. But it's late at night in full uniform playing hockey. I don't think so.
I'll take it from you guys from where you're from. You definitely know more about that than I do. So I'll side with you on that.
So then we get from there. Then we see like the gang again, because this is when Stephen Root shows up and he's basically, he's evil and he kind of admits it right away. Wouldn't he have like played it? Why would he pull a gun out and all that? Would it be easy for him just to like blend in? And then when it all happens, those guys know to,
because they had no clue.
Yeah. They had no guess. All they said was like, where you been? He could have been like, I was checking out so-and-so. No, he like starts like smiling weird. He's standing under a light just in the darkness and then like pulls a gun out. And at that time, all hell breaks loose. Everybody.
Which speaking of, I wrote down here, those guys coming through the windows, like as they're rappelling in, yeah, they're doing it in formation or whatever. But as soon as they come in, they're just shooting from the hip, like just like what
I wrote that down too. They weren't even shooting down; they were shooting across.
They're shooting at each other. I mean,
so like it made no sense.
Unless to cause chaos, which they were doing. I mean, oh my god, that was like,
yeah.
But I do like Kruger from Seinfeld, Mr. Kruger. He is so badass that he's Moreno. He is so badass in this movie because he's the one at this point. They're like, I don't know what we're going to do. And he's just like firing at people. I don't know how many people he actually hits because not a lot of people get hit in this movie. We see him like sort of like pass out maybe from the deflection of a bullet or the fear of a bullet, but there's no like blood, right? You don't see blood in this movie at all.
Not really. No.
The only time I can think of was when, the early on with Officer Lewis, and they were being surrounded by the spider punks, and they had that one guy who was like talking about like, hey, my brother's a cop or whatever, and he like a sniper bullet or whatever came in or whatever. There was some red on his shirt, but I remember watching it distinctly, going like, wait a minute, these guys are very distinct on their rating for the movie vis-a-vis gore versus violence. So I really was like, okay, that there is some red there, but other than that, that was about it, and it wasn't like anything that was like protruding or like bleeding. Where it was just like, oh, she was holding by the tie. He went down. That was it. I mean, that's really about it for the gore.
No, you're right. That was like the only time you ever saw anything like that. And then, so the next scene in the movie is like, it's funny that this movie came out in 93, and I think Rudy came out in 92.
Oh, you said Rudy. Good for you.
Because the scene coming up when the OCP and McDaggett go to the sergeant and say, I need 50 of your men ready in riot gear to go. We're taking Cadillac Heights now. And as soon as he takes his shield off, they're like, you should think about it. Johnson's like, you should think about your family. He goes, about time I am. And he takes his shield off, drops it down, and you see every other guy do that moment of like, okay, yeah, I should do this too. And then they drop in that pile. I'm like, dude, that's freaking Rudy. It's the same.
100%.
I'm glad you said that. I'm so glad you said that.
And they definitely hesitated. Like they weren't sure if they were going to do it. They're like, should we do it? Like they looked at each other like, but yeah. No,
inspiration.
Totally
I wonder if that happened before, because Rudy definitely wasn't out in 91 when they finished this movie. So maybe they watched this movie. Maybe Sean Astin watched this movie and he goes, hey, I have a great idea. Well, obviously Rudy's based on a true story. So maybe they love the true Rudy story. And they're like, hey, instead of jerseys, let's drop our shields.
Which is unfortunately much more poignant in this day and age, but I mean, yeah.
And the shields, by the way, they sounded very plastic. Whenever they dropped it, it sounded like you get them in one of those gumball machines.
Yeah, there was a certain clang to them that made you think, oh, what are these really made of?
And what do we get from there? A hard cut to Johnny Rehab, the cartoon. It was like if Robocop and Johnny Bravo from Cartoon Network got a kid, because that's all it was. And then that was done. Then we never see that again.
Yeah. Like, what was the point of that? It was really filler. It was just filler.
You know what? It kind of harkened back to me a little bit of the satire that like the first or maybe even the second movie where they had the commercials or whatever, where it's just kind of like, oh, the Sunblock 3000 or whatever it was called or whatever. Like, I mean, that was maybe their one in there, but I mean,
I would like that, like futuristic products and stuff. I think that would be funny, but like the ones that they threw in our face, like the door getting stuck and her saying, oh, here's the heart, like those lines. But no, I would have loved more of those like futuristic kind of things like in the first movie. But no, I don't know. And then how about the next scene? It's almost like they had this all planned, ready. Because how about on the news when they have the reenactment of RoboCop murdering a nun? Did you guys notice it was a nun laying on the ground?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
And RoboCop.
Fake feet and everything.
Yeah. And then they have RoboCop walking. They had a RoboCop reenactment actor already filming that thing within what, minutes?
Yes.
I love the anchor that left the set. She's like, this is bullshit. How could you be reading this? This is absolute bullshit. And you're like, wow, dude. This is
I liked her though.
I did like her. But yeah, so then Nico, we talked about, right, you mentioned it, right place, right time, technology. But how does he go into the computers when because Dr. Lazarus gets kidnapped. She gets taken back. How do they get into? He sneaks it again into like this headquarters. She sneaks into the headquarters and uses like the alligator clips, hooks the computer up and watching, not touching anything, hands where I could see them. And somehow she's changing the channels.
She's able to go, what, broadcast?
Well, it might be the last time alligator clips ever were useful in that regard, because I mean, like now it's all Wi-Fi and everything.
But this girl, I mean, like, I gotta assume hackers, have a specialty. This girl's specialty is everything.
But no buttons, not touching a button.
No.
Somehow the channels are changing.
Yeah.
She's seen different cameras. And then at the very last camera is Dr. Lazarus locked in this room that they leave stuff in. Why if you're going to put, if I were to kidnap someone, haven't done it in a while, but if I were to do it again, I'd put him in a room where they have nothing. Why put like this little step ladder? There's a whole shelf. There's a lot of things that
there's that's another trope. Every movie when they kidnap someone, there's useful items in there that they can use for their escape.
Yes.
And she didn't even get into any of those boxes in there. I mean, like if we've ever played a video game where you find an extra storage room, it's like, oh yeah, there's useful stuff in there. Yeah. I mean, come on. It's like they just, as we see on the CCTV camera, they just throw her in there. She bangs on the door. Oh, sees the camera. Oh, hey, hello, hi. I mean, trophy. Yeah.
Yeah. Right from there, we have McDaggett back at the police station after all the cops left, and he goes to the punk guy that Robocop let live earlier in the movie.
Honestly, Doug, do you think that could really ever happen in real life? I mean, in terms of like, it seemed like I hate to say it, watching a movie where I was 10 years old or 30 years old or whatever. It seems like a really insanely realistic situation where he's just kind of like, oh no, stop that criminal. Hey, you want to work for us? I mean,
yeah.
Well, he was about to get arrested again, and they left him because they needed. So, like, I bet you that happens. What else?
I love that he was ready to leave as soon as all the cops left. He was ready to like walk out real slow, and like, hey, how would you and your boys like to make some money? And it's like they're probably like shit. And then when he opened his mouth, his teeth were that was good makeup effects because I was grossed out.
That's like a lot of the people I live around here with. I mean, that's a lot of crystal meth. You don't have to do makeup if you get the right people.
I was going to say, that could have been his real teeth, Doug.
It could have been.
Yeah.
Summer teeth. Some are here, some are there. But, man, just the fact that you have this 80... You don't know who these guys are. These punk guys... Well, I guess maybe OCP, that their intel, they know really anyone's intentions, but
I don't think they care.
They could just turn on them. Who you're going to give them all these weapons and stuff? They could be like, all right, well, we're going to take you over now. They could have done something like that.
It's an experiment, baby. I mean,
and then this is where they're in Cadillac Heights. They're like, hey, in their mind, still, if we fight for one more day or whatever day we're at right now, because Bertha got murdered in the last scene. So it's really just the old guy who seems like the old wise guy and Mr. Kruger are like the only ones that we know left out of that gang.
Those are our mainstays, yeah. Which, by the way, I want to mention when Sergeant Reed shows up with the police reinforcements, it's 6 cars, which means you have 24 cops total. Yeah, good job. Good luck. Good luck, guys. I mean, these are the people who didn't want to fight against their coworkers. So, okay, here's 24 of us tops. I mean,
but if you look at the bad guys, they just walk down the middle of the street.
Well, when you're shooting a shotgun at 100 yards away, thinking you're going to hurt somebody.
Well, that's why not one person got hit. I mean, not the cops couldn't hit one person, and they had a gang walking in the middle of the street very slowly. They weren't running, they weren't maneuvering, and not one was getting shot.
I think Mr. Riccardi's right.
When he said that, when Sergeant Reed has the shotgun pointed, they're like, "What should we do? Should we shoot?" He's like, "Not until they shoot at us." And right away, the freaking guy shoots a car right in front of him. Explodes, but I did like.
There seems to be a lot of coincidences in this movie. We're safe here, and then a wrecking ball. Like the second they say something happens.
Well, and to be fair, like they tipped over all their cars pointing one direction on a street, not like anyone would pinch or move right behind them. Like Cadillac Heights literally is one street, like one block long.
I do like his line when he says, "It's time to show how real cops kick ass." Because at first, like,
but did they?
That doesn't matter if they did. That good for them.
No, but I don't think they did. I don't think they did anything. I don't think they killed anyone. I think RoboCop's the only one that killed anyone.
That's true. Actually, he's right. That's true. RoboCop cleaned the mess up.
I mean, I don't think the cops killed anybody.
Well, spoiler.
Well, I'm going to save them time. Don't watch it.
Does anyone listening this far into this podcast have not seen the movie before?
So then we get RoboCop is somehow back in the lair still. Which I don't know. Why is he
slow?
There?
Oh yeah, that's right.
He's a slow walker.
He didn't get the map the ninja got.
Yeah, he didn't get that map.
Even though he's been there.
So the Robo Ninja is there, and it's him and RoboCop. And
RoboCop shows up like the husband who's like 50s. It's the 1950s, and the wife's fucking somebody else in the back room. He just like walks in, just drops everything. Like, what is happening here? He drops his gear. He's just like, what?
And he had this Robo Ninja pulling out his samurai sword, and he slices off RoboCop's fingers. Wait, do they regenerate? Because I feel like he has fingers later in the movie.
Well, they probably gave him a new hand. I'm sure they have extra hands.
Well, now to be fair, Doug, that is the same arm that he cuts off with the sword and then puts, like I said, universally he just happened to cut his arm off the right way, and that's where he puts the gun.
Oh, that was his.
It's the same hand.
It was the same hand. I thought it was the other hand.
Oh.
So did I.
Yeah, it was his left hand. He put it up. It's like, and destruction of police property.
Okay, so since we're at this point though, and he's got that gun hand. How does he use it without a hand if he's been using it with the hand this whole time? Because if you look at the back of it, it looks like it screws on to like a no-hand arm.
Yeah.
Oh, you're not wrong.
Right. So he has a hand on when he's using it, just saying, does he take his hand off?
If only we could all be so lucky. That's all I have to say.
I love that RoboCop is just, you thought it'd be like some kind of fight, right?
Oh,
you thought it'd be something, and then I never understood like ninjas in movies. They always have to why do they always have to wave the sword around? Just go do what you're gonna do. They give him so much extra time, so he's able to roll over. Which it's right next to him. He's able to grab it, screw it on, and then blow his head off. Which with what? Nothing explodes really. It just
One of those cannons on his arm is a rocket launcher. We do see him hit Timothy McVeigh in the tank with it later. Yeah. But I mean, we don't know what makes his head blow up.
Yeah.
But this is like the main fight. This is your main bad guy. One robot versus another robot. And it was like 30 seconds long. Like it was nothing.
Probably less than. Yeah.
Horrible.
Not a good boss fight. You're right.
Not at all.
But it was about the people. That's what the story, the movie had a narrative, which, by the way, I want to bring up to you guys. I'm sorry, real quick. Do you guys ever check out Rotten Tomatoes scores for any of these movies at all that you guys review? Are you guys aware at all at the drop-off in the RoboCop ratings for Rotten Tomatoes?
What is it?
The first one, I mean, there's critics and audience or whatever, but it goes from critics from the first, second, and the third movie, 90 to 30 to 6. And then amongst the audience, it goes 84 to 36 to 15, which is way worse than I'd give it. But I mean,
wait, this got a 6 on Rotten Tomatoes?
Wow.
Amongst the critics, yeah.
Son of the Mask, Caddyshack 2, better than this.
I'm glad I brought that up. Thank you.
So then the doctor, Jamie mentioned it before, is somehow able to get on the TV. And then urging everyone to fight back against OCP and what they're doing. And then just happens to be a TV on its side where RoboCop is. And he crawls over and he's able to see the doctor delivering the speech. And that motivates him once again.
Otherwise, he would have just napped.
Does he love the doctor? Does he love the doctor?
I would.
He dreamed about her.
He does dream about her. That's true. It morphs from his wife to his dead partner, his dead wife, dead partner, to hot young. She's pretty young too.
Yeah,
she must be pretty smart.
Well, I mean, she's got the sidekick next to her that's like, again, hacking, broadcasting on TV. First of all, there happened to be a camera in that room.
Oh yeah, you want to make sure you have closed circuit surveillance on all your storage.
So what, there was no camera in that room to even do
every broom closet must be monitored.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
No stone unturned for OCP. But then from there he crawls and he finds his wings.
That's an interesting way to put it.
And what happened next was something I thought I'd never see.
I hated it.
I just didn't like the way it looked, but again, their budget issues, so they weren't able to do a lot with what they wanted to. But while I'm watching it, I'm like, that's superimposed on the screen. There was none of that filmed.
Horrible. I mean, listen, I know the movie came out a long time ago. Yes, the special effects were horrendous, but seeing Robocop fly, to me is like, you're really jumping now. I mean, it's done.
They really should have highlighted it more or whatever, like gone like, God forbid, even though this hadn't happened yet, like the Iron Man route, so to speak, or whatever. But but that's also why we're talking about this right now, is like breaking apart this piece of crap.
Well, how come they haven't made a female Robocop?
Oh, that might be the $10 question right
they should have made a
Nico.
Okay. Right.
You guys are on the doorstep of your next franchise. I mean,
wow. Robo chick. Sorry.
Robo gal, Robo girl. I mean, that's.
Do you think there's a porno out there called Robocock?
I would hope so.
Most definitely.
Okay.
I haven't seen it. I'm just.
I can ask a few former guests that if they were in any of them.
Oh yeah, you could.
So then we get like that punk gang, and they have the tank, and then
great reveal, by the way. Like all of a sudden they're kicking ass, whatever, and all of a sudden, like, hey, let's just do a marching band formation.
Yeah. And he's just flying, dun 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 dun, and he's just he takes them all out again, just like the fight. It's like 30 seconds, and they're all gone and dead.
Yeah.
Explosions, and that's it. He says
all that armor, all those weapons,
The city must have a lot of money.
Which also, I want to ask you guys real quick. I wrote this down at the very end of my notes here. I really do enjoy the Robocop theme, up there with maybe Superman. I mean, I'm not saying let's go spend $1.29 on iTunes right now, but I mean, listen to the Robocop theme, guys. It stands up just as good as any other like Boston Pops or like anything big band or John Williams or whatever. I mean, it's who made that? It was good. It was probably like a Zucker thing or something, I bet.
Zucker.
So then right at the same time, while Robocop's kicking ass, you have Dr. Lazarus when those cops are like, hey, we got to go and get her because she was just talking on the news. And the guy walks in and sees nothing. And she has that tiny little ladder, hits him. He's stunned so much from this little ladder and her little frame that she's able to swing it that hard that he drops his gun. She's able to grab it quick enough and tell the other guys, hey, drop your weapons.
Oh, not to mention, she pretty much empties the whole clip into the ceiling before saying, think it over. That's how those things work. It's just like, oh, you're out of bullets, but like, oh, I'm done.
In a spoof movie, they would have fell and knocked her out.
Easily.
But I know there were so many of those RoboCop lines in this movie that he could have said, but I do love when he flies into the OCP headquarters, into Rip Torn's office, and he's like, dead or alive, you're coming with me. And I'm like, all right, is this going to be
finally some police work?
Is something going to happen? I must say the ending, it doesn't live up to what I was hoping after watching all this, but it was pretty cool when you saw the Roboninja and then another Roboninja. I was thinking it was going to be more than that. I really thought maybe the guy was only a twin or they could only get two lookalikes. But I was really thinking there was going to be just keep piling in from different doors or something. But we got two.
But and again, obviously they're extremely high tech. These ninjas, extremely. But she's able to hack it also.
Wow.
I just don't get it.
Wait, and not even Hackett Hackett to the point. Wouldn't there be a failsafe that couldn't happen? That okay, we're never going to be.
Of course, and again, it is high tech.
Chop their heads off.
You're going to tell me they're not going to be worried that the enemy is going to be taking, they don't want them to have control of these ninjas. So, they have like I said, fail safe or something. Like, no, she's able to get in there within seconds.
You guys are approaching this with 21st century brains. That's the problem here. I mean, we all know the interlocks and fail safes or whatever. I mean, obviously that's what the whole like counterintelligence culture is all about, right? I mean,
well, it does take place in 2048 or 38.
28.
Or 28, or whatever we said.
Oh, yeah. So if it was 2038, then it would be okay.
It would be fixed.
Okay.
So he didn't really so one thing about this movie, I don't know, I hated the fact that we'll talk about it now and just get it over with, but the fact that Nico is able to hack in that fast. They chop each other's heads off with samurai swords in seconds. And it's so uneventful. They wanted more, Fred Decker wanted more, but it didn't fit into the budget. He wanted this movie to have a Jackie Chan Hong Kong style action, but they couldn't afford having the Asian stunt teams. I don't know what they would have really done it with. Maybe they had more fight scenes with it, but just how stupid that was.
I feel like it was wasted. They have these ninjas. And they really, it's wasted because they really weren't ninja. Is ninja a word?
Ninja?
Is ninja a word?
Ninja?
Okay.
No.
It's a thing now. They weren't very ninja. I mean, I think Jamie said it right, though. I mean, case in point where the movie is an hour and 45 minutes long. And it took really 45 minutes for us to really get our teeth into anything. But at the same time, it's well, who have we seen in those first 45 minutes? I'm not saying we're breaking this movie down in terms of good respects, a proper movie. But at the same time, it's maybe they gave us the rope-a-dope. They gave us the action at the right times. And we didn't see the character doing whatever, the main character doing whatever. I miss Peter Weller going into with the kid, the Little League team that was looting the store or whatever. And he's just this isn't very nice. It's that's hilarious. I mean, they didn't really have too many moments with the, oh God. And I forget his name so much. I mostly remember the guy who played Robocop in this movie from Rescue Me. He was Robert Dennis Leary's brother.
Yep.
Yeah, but unfortunately, that's the most thing I knew him from. And even when I was watching the movie as a kid, I didn't know him from anything at the time. So I mean, it was hard to relate. But I mean, ultimately, I feel they maybe as you make a movie like this in a certain amount of timing or pacing or let things breathe, so to speak, they gave us the right amount of nuggets. I hate to say it, to satiate ourselves to be oh look, there's Robocop for 5 minutes doing God knows what, and then all of a sudden, oh, it's over, and then there's something else. But that would be more of what a serious movie should try to do, not necessarily a romp that is Robocop 3.
They should have just had more. Maybe if the other story of it was better, the underground, if they had more fighting, but there just wasn't enough action. It was more of I don't know. It was just trying to tell so much about a plot that to me just didn't grab me. That's one thing Fred Decker hated too, the whole political part of the movie. So he had to tailor to kids, and then it was homeless versus the man. So there was just so many things going against him, not getting that older audience that loved the first two. And then you get these people hey, Robocop's being political, even though there was some of those tones in the other movies. I don't know. It was just, I wanted more Robo Ninja. I wanted a real fight. I wanted to see Robocop fight him, and no, it was Nico saving Robocop. Really?
You said the word more about 10 times. I was hoping for less because that movie, this movie felt like it was going on forever.
You must have been excited that the credits were 7 minutes long, so the movie did end sooner than I thought.
Oh, I did because I know I was there's 10 minutes left. Yeah. So I'm waiting. And my wife's we want to eat dinner because I had to finish it tonight. And I go, it's 10 minutes left. And then it was over 2 minutes later. I was all right, good.
Because I didn't think it was going to end right there. When the fact that the dumbest part of this is that now the ninja, the Robo Ninja, when he gets killed, there's a self-destruct button because there wasn't one earlier when Robocop blew his head off. But now there's one. Why did the timer?
Well, now hold on a second. McDaggett did reference when he was in that seedy hotel room where he's just like, it doesn't come to that insurance policy yet, or he didn't say those words or whatever, but he was referring to that briefcase that was beeping at him, which was still in the same room. So it's just like, okay, so you're carrying like a little mini nuke with you just in case what goes down. Okay, all right. So thank God, just the top of this building blew off. I mean, what in the hell was the purpose of that? Like, oh, it doesn't come down to that yet.
Yeah, that made no sense. And I thought RoboCop was gonna. I thought he was going to pull a Superman, grab the bomb, and throw it into a lake. No, he just saves Nico and Dr. Lazarus and lets all the people that were the innocent people down below die in rubble. That's what happened.
Well, people were already jumping out of that building and shooting themselves in the mouth earlier. So, I mean, what different fate is that?
There's no one left.
It was just a normal Tuesday that people down there would be like, oh, no, more people are jumping off. Whatever.
Oh boy!
The final line in the movie.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Terrible turn we took. Thank you, RoboCop.
But
in your dark action comedy,
we get Rip Torn to finish the movie. He goes, "They call you Murphy, is it?" And then we get it. My friends call me Murphy. Zoom in. You call me RoboCop. Credits. So here's one thing I want to add. Well, that's RoboCop, but just want to add this one part because Jamie kind of mentioned it earlier, but he wanted to do that. So the actual end of the movie that Fred Decker wanted, he wanted to have McDavitt go into a booth after RoboCop's rescue at the OCP offices, swipe a card at the terminal, and then he wanted him to fly. So he wanted like McDavitt to actually like fly out and start transforming into a robot, but obviously it wasn't in the budget. And then he wanted the end of the movie, the last thing you see, Nancy Allen as a robot, like a female RoboCop.
See, I thought, well, was it the first one? Yeah, it was the first. Did she get shot up in the first one at the end of the movie? Right? She gets something and she gets shot in the first one, and he says, "They fix you," or something like that. They can fix you or something. So they always hinted that she was going to turn into a robot.
Deep, Jamie, deep.
No, they didn't do it.
Clearly no.
Wow. Ooh, that was a lot to unpack in that one. So Jerry, our guest, would you recommend someone to watch RoboCop 3?
100%. Oh yeah.
Okay.
Wow. No hesitation.
Yeah, I think out of all the words we used tonight, one of the last words I used was a romp, and that's exactly what it is.
Well, I think you know where this is going. I'm going to say absolutely not.
Oh, really?
No.
And no. Are you saying not, or are you saying mot?
Not. Let me tell you. I mean, the first one is awesome. The second one, the sequel, you got to watch it. This one, I mean, the fact that number one, it's not even Peter Weller, so you're taking that out of it. The movie, he's barely in the movie. I don't think it hurts not to watch it. It's not going to hurt the franchise. It may hurt the franchise by watching it.
Wow.
So yeah, to me, this movie felt like it was a very long movie, and it wasn't enjoyable.
So I always say to watch the movies, but with this movie, I just wish there was more that I really enjoyed about it. The only thing I did enjoy was seeing these actors before they Rip Torn was already in a ton before this, but seeing all these actors before they were going to break, I think it's cool seeing Jeff Garlin as a donut jerk and Jodie Long, who's in a ton of stuff after this. After this movie, she was in Striking Distance, a couple of years later.
She's in tons of stuff.
A ton of stuff. So it is cool seeing that. But other than that, I don't know. I just wanted more RoboCop, and I wanted him to fight the Roboninja, but why not check it out? Jerry, thank you so much for doing this with us, man.
Thank you.
And thank you guys. This has been the highlight of my year. I swear to God. Hopefully you guys can have me on for another movie. I don't care if I've seen it before or not. I'll dive into it.
That's great, dude. No, we appreciate that. So the next sequel up is another one. Jamie has had a few movies that we've covered this year. Superman 2, the most recent that I can remember, that you're so excited for. And this one, Cannonball Run II, which has Burt Reynolds, Sammy Davis Jr., Frank Sinatra, the voice of Munchie, Dom Deluise, and a cameo by next week's guest, Sandy Hackett, the son of comedic legend Buddy Hackett. We talked about his video short about his dad called My Buddy, his Rap Pack show, his acting career, comedy, and lots more. Sandy does a flawless impression of his dad, and it's very endearing. He was great to talk to last year, and I even have it on VHS, baby. Cannonball Run II. So don't forget to review, rate, share our podcast. Follow us on all social media at Sequels Only, and don't forget to check out our website, sequelsonly.com. Good night.
Good night.